now on 97.3 The Fan.
Hello, everyone. Welcome in to a Thursday edition.
You know what, Jerry? I'm not dating you anymore if you say that ever again.
Hello.
Do you remember that episode? He thought long and hard about whether or not he should say that or stay in the relationship, and he went with saying it.
He went with saying
and
it.
And he broke up. Yeah, with the gal.
That was my Mrs. Doubtfire right there.
Oh, that was your Mrs. Doubtfire. I was going to Jerry Seinfeld.
Although
had an episode
Seinfeld last night was playing as I fell asleep, as I tried to fall asleep, and it was the episode where he was doing everything the opposite.
And
yes.
I could,
you're trying to go to sleep, but some of those lines in there are pretty funny. So I couldn't quite fall asleep, which leads me to my next point. I'm a little cranky this Thursday afternoon.
Because you didn't sleep, or because
I think it's
travel?
I think it's a culmination of all of it. I didn't sleep well in Milwaukee. The Pfister, people say it's haunted. That's not why I didn't sleep well. And I think it's just kind of catching. I was already here once today earlier to do the round table. Back at it for another bite at the apple. How are you gentlemen doing today?
Doing very well. Skraby is actually sitting in a little different spot today.
He
far too close to me.
He's definitely close to me right now.
I almost reach out and touch him from where I am right now, and I'm not comfortable.
Yeah, he's not actually on the board today. Today, we get a treat, ladies and gentlemen. Skraby, after he gets these cameras up, of course, which is a whole thing every day that we come in here, he's going to be fully devoted till about 5 o'clock of being an actual host today. He's not going to have his moments where we are talking about something sports related and we go to him and he is completely blank because he hasn't been paying attention. He is going to be involved all day. And so
you're saying it's a treat. I'm a little concerned, actually.
You don't think it's a treat, huh?
Yeah. Well, it's better now that he moved over there.
Okay. Yeah, he's right next to me now.
You were sitting way too close.
Stare at you, Chris, in the corner.
I'm not. You can only stare at me if I look back. So don't you worry. Nick Danucci's going to run the board today, but still, if there are any technical errors, I will still blame Skraby for them. So keep that in mind.
I think that's going to make it even funnier because he actually won't be in charge of the technical issues.
Yeah, so the show should run smoothly today.
Skraby,
I'm surprised.
Don't get Wally pipped here today, buddy.
That's right. If Nick does a good job, we could.
If you guys don't remember, I need to learn how to put my headphones in. But if you guys don't remember, back in the day, I used to sit here when Thomas was on the board. Remember?
Yeah, that's a long time ago.
That was
I feel like you guys were both back behind the desk.
We were, but he would phone screen for the first 2 hours, and then he would come
here
and he would sit in with us.
I believe the day that you delivered your famous weather report, you were sitting over there.
You're absolutely right. It's raining really hard right now.
Yeah.
Being cool here on the Intercom Empire.
I think you were there.
It all comes flooding back. The Padres return home after I thought a great 4-2 road trip. They take 2 of 3 from the Doyers. They take 2 of 3 from the Bruker. Had a chance to sweep, didn't go their way. It was, first of all, it was a really well played baseball game yesterday. I mean, the pitching,
2 hours and 4 minutes.
The pitching
somebody was really excited by that.
Yeah, I mean, I like a quick game. Don't get me wrong. But I'm not as like, hey, we played 2 hours and 4 minutes. Awesome. Like, I don't mind. The game takes 250. It takes 330. It gets above that, then you might hear me complain a little bit. But
as long as it's moving along
at a normal, just a regular pace. Yeah, it's a good game.
It was a well-played game.
I got to tell you, I enjoy watching Mike King throw the baseball yesterday. It was just old school, get the ball down, get some soft contact, let your defense work. Next thing you know, you looked up and it was like the sixth, seventh inning, and he was rolling.
Yeah, he was ahead of every hitter. I mean, the old saying, strike one is the most important pitch in baseball. Never more true. I thought than yesterday. He probably would have carried out what he set out to do were it not for your broadcast partner. At least based on what I read on Twitter yesterday, it was all Bob Scanlon's fault.
Oh, how
he
so?
Lost his no-hitter.
How so?
I don't know. Didn't he mention it? Or
he did not mention it.
Oh, he didn't mention it.
He did mention it. That's
he went out of his way not to mention it. All
yes.
right, I read the tweets incorrectly there. So he went. So is the seventh inning, and the radio listening audience was not informed that he was working on.
I mean,
because he was too nervous.
Sidestepped it.
Okay.
We if you were paying attention, we alluded to it, but we didn't actually say the words no hitter. Now we talked about. You'll hear this in the roundtable later on. As a color analyst, I don't feel it's my a duty.
No,
I think I tend to defer to my play-by-play partner and how he wants to approach it. In this case, I could feel Scan kind of like straddling the fence on what he wanted to do.
He was hesitant because he was worried about what the Twitter response would be if said that Michael King has a no-hitter and then he gave up a hit. But, as you'll hear on the roundtable, it's so ridiculous that people honestly think that they should be able to blame a broadcaster for a pitcher having a no-hitter.
Chris, I would give it more credence if when it was flipped, like we said something the opposite way and like our team benefited from it. If everybody was like, oh, yes, that the broadcasters clearly did that, I would feel differently. But since it's only focused on the negative parts
that's right. You can only screw something up as a broadcaster.
Right.
You can never help something along.
Exactly.
Well, Bob did a very nice job of painting the picture without actually saying it. As Tony said, he would say Michael King is pitching great. He's in the seventh inning, only 2 base runners via walk.
He did say that.
So that's a good way of doing it.
That was the one.
That's a good way of doing it.
I don't know. I think it's
hats off to Scanlon and hats off to Michael King, who pitched an unbelievable game, probably the game of his life.
Yes,
and still doesn't get a win for it. That was the frustrating thing. And I think the frustration to me, boils down obviously to the top of the 8th inning when you get the leadoff triple and you're not able to score that run. And I'm sure the Padres felt that frustration. Kyle Higashioka and Xander did not come through. Fernando, I thought when he hit that dribbler, had a base hit. That guy,
hell of a play.
Guy hopped off the mound. I mean, really made a great play and a perfect throw. A lot of times they hurry that and throw that away. Goes down the line.
That ball takes off.
Yeah. So that was a great play by Uribe to save that from being an infield single. And then, when you got a game like that, it comes down to really tiny little things. And, maybe that 2-strike pitch to Terang was a little higher up. It was on the outside part of the plate, but just a little more up than he wanted it. And Terang was able to, just poke it over the shortstop, and then he's going to try to steal a base there. And I think that's where the new rules come into play, because Michael King threw over before the first pitch, and I think after that Terang knew he's probably not going to want to come over a second time, and I think that allowed him to really read it. And by the time he took off for second, it was a curveball, but had Higashioka caught it cleanly, I don't think he could have thrown him out. He had a running start. And then, I mean, Tony, there's a lot of things I don't like. I mean, you guys know the list is lengthy, but here's one of them. People who second guess a manager after the decision was made and say, well, he shouldn't have done that. And in this case, bringing in Wandy Peralta to turn that batter around, and in a situation where Peralta, nobody gotten a hit off him in 22 at bats,
especially righties.
Right. Righties hadn't got a hit. That's what I'm saying. Righties were 0 for 22 against Peralta this season. So it was a perfectly right move to make by Mike Schilt. And the guy hits a 9-hopper, and the game, goes to Milwaukee. And now people are like, the manager screwed it up. If you really believe he screwed it up, then tell me beforehand. Don't tell me after the base hit. Right. Because that was good managing.
Get your Twitter fingers off before the at-bat is done.
Don't tell me how to fan. Don't tell me how to fan.
I'm telling you how to fan. Absolutely.
No, if you tell me I would not take Michael King out here, I would not bring in Wandy Peralta, and then he gives up the hit, then I'll give it to you. But don't tell me after he gives up the hit
here was where move. I had a question. I wasn't.
That just means he questioned it too. Is what it means. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I had a question.
What do you got?
I was thinking because when I listened to Mike Schilt after the game, he had a great reason and everything like that, and he said that Michael King was going and he had it under control. But if there was ever a question as to giving him a short leash, as Mike Schilt did say, why not put Wandy Peralta in there to start the inning? Why tempt fate by putting Michael King out there. He already gave up the hit, so the no-hitter was off the table, right?
Because he'd only given up one hit, and they'd hardly touched him all day long. There was absolutely no reason to take him out of that game.
Zero.
And there was a reason to bring in Peralta, the reason being to switch the hitter around to bat right-handed in a situation where Wandy Peralta was 22 for 22. The inning was managed perfectly, but that doesn't always mean it's going to work out.
Remember, I said I wasn't questioning.
Yeah, you were.
Oh,
you
were.
were.
I
You
had
were.
a question.
You were questioning.
I did the show with you yesterday. I remember what questions you were asking.
I did not say once that I thought it was a bad move. I just thought, hey, why didn't they bring him in to start the inning if they had him on a short leash?
Yeah. Well, one thing people are questioning over and over again, and I'm here to put your mind at ease. You guys don't know this, but it just popped in on my phone. The Padres have released Xander Bogaerts. They have
an April Fool's. No, it's
yes,
April 18th.
Yeah, no, they've activated Donovan Solano, and he's going to be your new everyday second baseman.
Wait, do you hear that?
So you won't
It's
have
all solved.
That's
Boom.
the city is celebrating the
Oh,
release.
probably
of Xander
so.
Bogaerts.
Yeah, I mean,
There it is.
you know,
Boom.
you people
Done.
out there that are giving up on Xander Bogaerts, do so at your own peril. I that's all I can say. We went through the stats yesterday, Skrabe. This guy hits 290, 300 every year of his career. You know, he had a 2020 season last year. Actually, it was 19 homers, 19 steals, hit 285. I'm going to go, Tony, with 10 years of data over 2.5 weeks of data. And the people, you know, that are giving up on the guy because he's hitting 211, actually now he's down to 200. Oh, my goodness. You guys are fans. I guess that's what fans is, you know, it's short for fanatic. You're crazy to be giving up on this guy so quickly and blaming the entire season on him. They're 11-10. Things are going well. They're scoring a ton of runs. Tony, you brought this up on the roundtable today. If you change Xander Bogaerts in the batting order, you therefore then would have to change other people in the batting order. And the order that Mike Schilt has been using this year, other than yesterday, first time they've been shut out, has been scoring as many runs as any team in baseball. I'm not going to change one guy at the risk of messing up the other 8 guys. It's crazy to me that people are so angry with him right now.
What is it? You guys see the forest through the trees, or the trees through the forest? Which one is it?
Forest through the trees.
Forest through the trees. This would have got so much better had I just remembered it off the top of my dome.
Right.
I just think so many people get caught up in the individual. I don't even really want to address the Xander Bogaerts thing because I think it's silly.
Yeah.
So many people look at the lineup as individuals as opposed to a collective 9.
Right.
And the point I made, and you'll hear it in the 5 o'clock hour, is that when you move Xander for whoever, whether it's Toddy, whether it's Jackson, and I named those two because those two are having great starts to their season in the spots that they're hitting.
Yeah.
You risk moving them out of that comfort zone that they are clearly establishing right now.
That's right.
You know, you got a taste of what it looks like with Jackson at the top of the lineup the day Bogey got off. I think he was 1 for 4 that day. Still had a knock, swung the bat well. There still are things coming, you know, that he hasn't even, you know, faced yet. He's starting to get a dose of it now. They started bringing in them lefties in for him, and we saw the adjustment that he's going to have to make. But I just think it's very, very short-sighted to be trying to think about moving a guy who, as Chris said, has every year pretty much been – he's probably as consistent. Him and Manny, when you look at the back of their baseball cards, are probably the 2 most consistent players in the big leagues. You know what you're getting every year. Even let's go back to last year. Bogey got off like gangbusters like he did this year. And then all of a sudden he had that wrist issue and just kind of slowly fell all the way down. It took to about June, July before he got going. And when it was all said and done, 285, 19, 58 RBIs, I think. And that's because he was hitting at the top of the lineup as well. So listen, what I do know is I trust Mike Schilt. And if Mike Schilt is pinning these guys in the lineup, at least the first 6 guys, the same way every night, there's a reason for it. And I think we've seen the reason. in the way they've been able to score runs, whether it's manufacturing, whether it's situational baseball, whether it's the homer. They are scoring runs at a higher rate now than they did last year, and I would say probably the year before.
Yeah, I wouldn't risk moving anything around right now, and I'm not going to change a guy that has 9 straight years of Major League Baseball batting 280 or higher because he hits 200 for 2 weeks. That's crazy. And Skraby did some research, and I don't want to take away stuff from the Skraby Chronicles later today, but
yeah, we're jacking the Chronicles for this one.
We're jacking the Chronicles for this. Your dad,
because it kind of revolves around you. So
well, it's such a good example. Your dad hit something like 190 the first month and a half of 1988, and when the season was over, he had once again won a batting title. It's ludicrous to look back and think, boy, they should have sat Tony Gwynn down. He wasn't hitting at all.
Move him to the bench.
Move him down to the 8th spot. He can't hit.
You know
Just
what I love
relax out there. Plus, the season's going along well. If they were 5-16, believe me, they'd be making some changes and moving stuff around, but they're not.
You know what I love about our listeners is that I feel like when they come into the chat, if you want to watch us, you can go to YouTube, just search 97.3 The Fan.
Hi, guys.
They feel like this is a safe place to be positive about the team, and no one's going to attack them.
This is definitely a positive, safe place.
Because Semsticks is saying George Springer, is still batting leadoff. He's having a slow start. Tap says, fans gonna fan. It's in fashion to sound sad to make yourself feel smart.
It is in fashion. You know who else is struggling? Well, he was. I think he had a good day yesterday. It was Ronald Acuna. He was struggling to begin the season.
In the Chronicles, now I'm calling it the Chronicles.
That's what you should have been calling it the whole time.
I'm going to give you 4 players that are being paid a lot of money in baseball coming into today that are hitting around Xander Bogaerts.
I think that is it right there. It's that
money.
It's that notion that just, I think, it confuses people. And I think the assumption is if you're making a lot of money, that you can't have any portion of your season that is not considered equal value to what you're making. And it's just not realistic. It's just not realistic. Was that me?
Yeah, I didn't secure it well. It's okay. We're going to break. I'll fix it.
All right. Sorry, guys.
Chris just gives me this look. You can just put it on the table for now.
Let's get to break. More Gwynn and Chris. We're rolling today. I promise I'm gonna be in a better mood in about another segment or two. More Gwynn and Chris on the way.
Did you?
Someone
is the time. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby, all together in our Odyssey Palace studios here in San Diego, California, working our way towards 5 o'clock. And this week's version of the Padres commercial-free 1-hour roundtable. You Padre fans, if you missed it this morning, don't miss it again. It's coming up this afternoon between 5 and 6 for your ride home. A commercial-free hour of nothing but Padres talk, featuring myself, Tony, and also Ben and Woods, Annie, and Elston. We will cover every topic you can think of having to do with Padres baseball. As far as the Padres are concerned, off today, getting set to barely unpack their bags. A 3-game homestand is all against all three, of course, against the Toronto Blue Jays. It starts tomorrow night, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and then it'll be back out on the road for a 4-game series in Denver against the Rockies next week. Padres don't have another off day for 2 weeks after today. So enjoy your rest, boys.
Was it 13 straight?
I think 13 straight days, yeah. Padres are 11-10, just a game behind the Dodgers, who are 12-9. And Padres, I think all in all, pretty good start to this season. I'm trying to go back and think 3.5 weeks ago, before this all got going, and I think people were pretty concerned. I know I was concerned about, how's Jackson Merrill going to handle every day in center field? How's Jurickson Profar going to handle hitting in the middle of the order every day in left field? And those two questions have been answered with a big affirmative so far. Look, Cronenworth, before he got sidelined for a couple of days, off to a really good start this year. I think a lot of the questions we had, so far, so good. And, I think overall you got to be pretty happy with how the Padres are Chris, faring so far.
What were the question marks? I was reading
I just said, Jackson Merrill, you had to wait and, see how he's going to settle in. Okay. And so far, so good. Profar has been way better than anybody could have thought. And Cronenworth, I think, bouncing back, at least to this point, after an off season. I don't think anybody had any questions about the starting pitching. Bullpen took a little while, but it's really come around here. I mean, that might be the best news of all of the entire 6-game road trip.
I think that's the only change.
Is that they went 4-2, but the bullpen in those 4 wins did not give up a run.
Lights out.
I mean, it was terrific. And, look, I mean, if you're going as deep as Michael King being your number 4 starter, I don't know a lot of teams in baseball that have a guy that can throw lights out like that in the number 4 spot in the rotation on a consistent basis. Dylan Cease has been right. I mean, he's at 1.99, striking out, everybody, Musgrove and Darvish. Again, you want to worry about Musgrove and you want to worry about Bogarts. Go ahead, worry about them, spend your time, but you're wasting your time. These are proven guys. They've been doing it for years and years. There's no reason to believe that they won't do it again. And
I think only you and I care about that, apparently.
Well, we're speaking to a lot of people who don't want to hear us say it. They want to hear us say, that it's time to demote Bogarts and
get him out of the leadoff spot.
And get him out of the leadoff spot. Forget that. Get him out of the lineup entirely and take away his salary. He doesn't get to get paid until he starts hitting doubles and triples again. Sorry. That's what people are really mad about, that he's got such a good salary.
Yeah.
And as you pointed out today, why does everybody care? It's not coming out of your paycheck. Leave it alone.
Because they could be spending it elsewhere on other players.
Like where? We're good.
Leave it to Mr. Fly in the ointment over there.
I don't even really know what that means. But,
we're good to have spin.
Let me get a hitter's thoughts on 2-0 yesterday. So, oh man, Tony just put his head on the microphone. I think he's tired of this question already. But I just want to get into the head of a hitter. 2-0, you need to drive.
Can you explain to everybody what you're referring to? He remembers, I remember, but maybe not everybody listening remembers.
Xander, okay.
Of course, it's a Xander thing.
Plate, and was it?
It was the 8th inning. Batten was on third. There was one out.
I did a really bad job of this.
Yes, you did. That's why I'm trying to help you.
Xander starts out the at bat 2-0. And then he gets one right down the middle, and he doesn't swing. He looks at it. And
What
so it
inning
goes
was
2-1.
that?
It was in the 8th inning.
And
so he's asking why
Xander.
why on that 2-0 pitch isn't he locked and loaded
Thank you,
and
Chris.
ready to drive in that run from third base with less than 2
Why is
outs?
he
Why
watching
would
a
he
strike?
take that pitch is what Skraby is asking.
Okay. Couple things. The first, 2-0 is not the same 2-0 that it used to be. Meaning 2-0 used to be
Somebody who's going to groove a
high
fastball.
percentage
For sure.
you're getting a fastball.
Right. Not so much anymore.
I would say over the last 5 years, it's almost 50-50.
Interesting.
2-0. You could get a breaking ball, and that's ultimately not what you're looking
So
at.
if you sell out for fastball, right, is what you're saying, and then you get curveball and you hit a meek little tapper back to the mound, you just blew your chance to drive in the run because of that.
Right. Because who's to say that after, let's say you weren't hunting that pitch, you took it as 2-1. Who's to say he doesn't go 3-1 after that and put you in probably an even better spot to hit it? But I think the real question right now, or the real answer to that question as it pertains to Bogey, is he's not feeling like his normal self. And so, no matter how good you are, there's this little voice that creeps in your head, 2-0, when you know you're not swinging the bat well and you haven't felt great at the plate. You're like, I don't know if I want to make the out on this one right here.
You also have like half a millisecond to make that decision.
You have that every time, but I'm putting that aside for the time being, just to try to answer your question. So maybe that's why he took the 2-0 pitch. I don't know.
Well, if you know he's going bad, then you've got to pinch hit for him there. It's all on Mike's show.
He's got to come
I never said that because I was watching.
I'm beating you to it.
I was watching the Tigers and the Rangers earlier today, and it was in the 8th inning, and Leclerc was on the mound for the Rangers, and I guess he throws heat. I was just listening to the announcers, but Javi Baez, the announcers were like, "This guy isn't throwing fastballs. He's not going to throw a fastball. Javi Baez is looking for the slider." But Javi Baez was able to, foul off a 98-mile-an-hour fastball.
Have you seen Javi Baez swing?
I have.
Have you seen him swing at the pitch that's not even?
Yes.
Okay, so he's an outlier.
All right. Well, I wasn't saying that Xander Bogaerts and Javi Baez are the same player. I was just saying, I just want to see a swing. That's all. But you explained it to me, and I take that.
You just wanted to see a swing too. I'm actually pulling this at bat up. I'm going back and I'm gonna find
Tony
it.
About to just bury
No,
me?
no. I
don't think he's going to
honestly,
because it really was a hittable pitch.
I
And
want to see the at bat.
I think if Xander Bogaerts is going good, he probably crushes that ball. But that's what happens during the course of every season. Guys, see the ball better. They just come up there with a confidence. Right now, Jackson Merrill probably fits into that category. But I guarantee everybody who's given up on Xander Bogaerts that there's going to be months and months this year where he's crushing that pitch and Jackson Merrill is taking it.
I say
it goes that way.
I'll take it even a step further. Prior to this road trip, and I would say the 2 games before we left, Manny's been in that spot.
Yes, he has.
And, may have swung. But when you're not swinging, when you're not in the best position to hit, you're going to make out. And whether it's 2-0, 0-2, 3-1, 3-0, 1-2, you're going to, when you're not right, baseball becomes even harder. And so I don't know. I'm still waiting for my computer to load up the 2 strike.
I'm watching it too. It's very frustrating that it's not loading.
Coming up.
It's not coming up.
Well, what you're going to see is a 2-0 pitch. It was, very hittable. And that's why it's a fair question because I'm sure people saw that and said, ugh, but you're explaining it perfectly. It's just that 1 second of doubt that'll creep in. And by that time, the ball's in the catcher's glove, and now you're getting ready for the next one. And Bogaerts is. Hey, look, I'm not saying to anybody he's not struggling right now. I'm agreeing with that. What I'm disagreeing with is everybody being so quick to be like, let's move on from him. I mean, that's absurd.
I don't actually know if that's a real thought or if it's just like a mob mentality thought.
It's a frustration
that's
thought.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Yeah, I think I hope it's frustration.
I mean, I'm sure the first time it was put out there was frustration, but when it starts to get like the Powell, there's definitely a mob mentality as it
yes, and you know who's in that mob? Our boss Adam Kluge, who interrupted basically the
roundtable?
The roundtable today to text Ben Higgins and say, make sure you ask about Xander Bogaerts' struggles.
Mentality.
Mob
right
mentality, Adam Klug.
No, I will give Adam the credit as a producer. People are tuning in to hear you guys talk about Xander Bogaerts' struggles.
And Ben Higgins was planning to talk about it because Ben Higgins is a professional moderator.
Now that I can't defend.
One more thing, Adam Klug, my Bulls crushed your Hawks last night.
Oh,
he said that to me yesterday. He was like, the Hawks have no shot. So.
He was right. All right, we'll take a break, come back. What's up next, producer?
Kirk Kenney.
Oh, the Aztecs have a big football weekend coming up. Do they not?
They do. The spring showcase.
We haven't checked in on that squad in a while, so we'll do that. See what's new on the Mesa as we continue rolling along here on Gwynn and Chris.
Mike.
2:40 on the clock. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Sello, Matt Skraby, Nick Danucci on the ones and twos.
Is he?
Well, he's learning. Skraby's popping his mouth right now to try to bring down Nick, but I'm not going to let it happen.
Before we get to Kirk, I want to thank Dave on the email here.
Dave emailed you?
Dave, the emailer.
Hey, Chris, what's going on?
No,
not that Dave.
Not that Dave. Sorry. Dave said, because we said that why does it bother you that Xander Bogaerts makes so much money and he's struggling right now? And we said, you don't have to pay his salary. And of course, we got the comment from Dave. So the high prices we pay at Petco for everything from tickets to food to alcohol is money that doesn't get paid in some part to the ball players. Sure feels like the money's coming out of my wallet and thus out of my paycheck.
Well, Dave, whose choice is that to hand over that hard-earned money to go watch some games? I don't.
Xander Bogaerts not making you do that, Dave.
I don't think he's making you do that. And here's the other thing: regardless of even if that is the case, that you have made the decision to go watch, that doesn't exempt players from having a struggle. It just doesn't. I'm sorry. Like the idea that I'm gonna buy these season tickets for the 2024 season.
And I expect for my
you
money
guys,
that we're paying Manny Machado, him to homer when I'm there.
All day long. I don't want no struggles. I'm spending too much money on these tickets. I can't see it.
I don't have time for a strikeout.
It's not real.
Now, as a man of somewhat of the people.
No, you are.
I do understand where.
Listen to you.
You know what? We'll do this later. Kirk Kenney's on the phone. We'll do this later.
Yeah, we got to get Kirk on the phone. Joining us on Gwynn and Chris, Kirk Kenney, San Diego Union Tribune. He covers, most of our Aztec stuff we talk about: basketball, football, baseball. But today we're talking about football. Exciting times here on the Mesa. Kirk, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing well. You guys didn't want to keep going there? I was entertained.
Well, we didn't want to keep you on hold too long, man. Spring game.
I appreciate that.
No problem. Spring game coming up here shortly. A lot of excitement surrounding this football team. New coach. Coach Lewis seems to really have the people who follow this Aztec program super excited. I mean, you're getting a chance. You've been covering the Aztecs for quite some time. From a personal standpoint, how are you feeling with the new staff, covering this new staff, this new kind of pathway that the Aztecs are on?
I've been interested with the energy that Sean Lewis has brought in the new offense that he's going to bring. We'll see how that works out, and we'll get to see a first glimpse Saturday. But, I think they've needed some energy for a while, and he's bringing that. A lot of things I've heard from fans over the last couple of years is they just want to see a more exciting offense, and that's what he proposes. If I could do one aside, if Dave wants to go to the game, it's free, so he might like that.
You won't be paying the kids' salaries, Dave, the emailer. Thank you, Kirk. Yes, the Aztecs have, they're calling it the Aztec Fast Showcase. It's at 1:00 at Snapdragon Stadium this Saturday. Tickets are indeed free, but they must be claimed in advance. So go online to goaztecs.com. Make sure you get yourself a ticket before you head down there. We had Coach Lewis on, but that's the only, I've talked to him that one time, Kirk, and I know you've spent a little more time with him since he's come in. And is he everything that he seems to be? I mean, just based on your visits with him, I mean, his energy is tremendous, and it seems to kind of be bringing everybody in. I haven't talked to one person around San Diego State who isn't just really excited by what he's selling.
On top of practices this spring, I've seen him at probably a dozen different events, and I think it's very genuine. And he's even said if he wants to coach young men, and he'd rather do it in a positive, uplifting way, as opposed to some coaches that I think, want to kick somebody in the behind more so than give them praise at times to try and motivate. And I found it to be very genuine. And I think it's a breath of fresh air for the program.
It really seems like that. Kirk Kenney joins the San Diego Union Tribune. I know he's met with some of the local high school coaches. And that's the thing is it's not just down in this area near San Diego State. I'm hearing this up north where I'm at. I mean, a lot of he seems to be plugging himself in to a lot of the high schools out here, which leads me to believe that, he's going to recruit this area as well as you possibly can. Kirk, what do you expect us to see during this spring showcase? Is it just going to be really highlighting this more exciting offense? What else can we expect?
Well, I think the biggest thing is we'll get to actually see guys out on the field. Sean Lewis in a press conference earlier this week, he said about 80% of the offense has been installed, but he admitted outright it's going to be vanilla. It's going to be toned down because he doesn't. And he said he's the paranoid ball coach. He doesn't want to give things away before he has to. But I think you'll still be able to see guys throw the ball and catch the ball and run the ball and knock guys down. So you'll get a glimpse. There's a lot of transfers to get a glimpse of. So there's going to be a lot of things to watch. It won't be maybe the true offense, and especially with what they're trying to do, the up tempo stuff they're trying to do. I think it's going to take a while into the summer and toward the start of the season before they really have that down.
Kirk Kenney is with us from the San Diego Union Tribune, talking a little Aztec football here, and the spring showcase is coming up this Saturday at Snapdragon Stadium for you Aztec football fans and others. Kirk, I think the thought in most people's minds is that last year's team was really, really bad and really not fun to watch. And, you go back and, the record, I think it was 4-8. And, but they had some close games here and there that didn't go their way, et cetera. I guess my question is, can Sean Lewis in 1 year, should we expect that he'll be able to get them right back to championship contention? Or was there a sense that, they fell off so much last year that, we got to be fair and give him a little more time?
I think championship contention might be a bit of a stretch. I think the bar might be that having a winning record and qualifying for a bowl game again would be the first step. And then thereafter seeing if they can get on a championship level.
Kirk, you mentioned some of the transfers. We know about, I think everybody knows about the quarterback that has come in. Are there any other big name transfers that we should be on the lookout for this spring game?
I think the receiving core, 2 or 3 of the guys who've shown the best in the spring are transfers. One notable from the Mountain West, Colorado State, Lewis Brown IV. He had, I think, about 30 receptions or so for the Rams, and he's been a guy that's been getting mentioned. Another one, Jashawn Polk, is a transfer who I'm hearing a lot about. So I'm eager to see both of those guys on Saturday.
Where's Polk come from? Do you know?
I'm
blanking offhand. I knew you were going to ask that.
It happens to me all the time, Kirk. Hang with them, babe. Hang with them. Yeah, we're getting to be that age. It does happen. That's okay.
What's his name?
But if you ask something for a second, I could probably find it in a note.
I want to ask you while you're looking around. We'll be good. I want to
go back to bickering.
Yeah. Well, we could certainly do that. Kirk Kenney's with us. Kirk, I'm excited. First of all, Ryan Lindley does return as an offensive analyst. He was the offensive coordinator last year. I'm glad that Ryan Lindley is still a part of this thing. I think he's got a great future. Some of these other names, Darian Hagan comes in as a coach. This guy was a quarterback of a national championship team at Colorado, going back in the day a little bit.
Yeah, I spoke to him yesterday and had a great conversation. I'm really excited to get to know him more and have him coaching the running back.
Yeah, but the guy I'm really very excited about is Mike Schmidt. Because I was, walking the sidelines.
Mike Schmidt, the third baseman?
No, actually Mike Schmidt, the run game coordinator.
Okay.
And former offensive lineman at SDSU, who did a lot of offensive line coaching under Rocky Long. And I got to know Mike quite a bit on the sidelines when I was doing reporting during the games. And that's when their run game was powerhouse, right? With Pumphrey and with, Rashad Penny and Ronnie Hillman before that. So I'm glad that he's come back and just talk about, the staff that Sean Lewis has put together. People are pretty excited about it.
Yeah, I think he's put together a very good staff. And like you said, Mike Schmidt had a lot of success here the first time around. Went to Syracuse and Mississippi State, and now he's back. And so I think he's a little more worldly as well. And they've had a lot of shakeup on the offensive line, but I think with him back, they have the best chance they could to succeed on the offensive line. Oh, also this just in, Jashawn Polk went to Kent State and West Virginia before coming here.
This just in. Kirk, go over the quarterback situation real quick one more time, kind of where it stands right now. I mean, that's the position everybody always wants to talk about with the football team. And I think Jalen Maiden took a lot of unfair blame last year. I really do. I think this young man played his heart out and, gave him everything he had. But, fans want, 8-4, not 4-8. So what's a quarterback? Where does it stand right about now?
So there's a transfer, A.J. Duffy from Florida State. And then the other one is a newcomer, freshman from Indiana, and his name is Danny O'Neal. Those are the two guys who've been, I think, getting the top 2 reps. 2 other kids are returners, sophomore Kyle Crum and Javance Johnson. He's a redshirt freshman. None of those 4 guys have really gotten very many snaps in real live games. They've gotten a little bit here and there, mainly in mop-up kind of things. Duffy was a 4-star guy, I believe, out of Southern California. And so, he's looked upon highly, and we'll see what they can do. And that's where I think Saturday will be the first test where we get to see, what do they have on the ball? What's their accuracy like? And then how do they perform in this tempo style of offense? So, but at this point, I would say the 2 inside guys are Duffy, the transfer, and O'Neal, the incoming freshman. And
he's the kid that had been at Colorado or committed to Colorado.
Yes, he committed to Colorado
and came over here. Yeah. All right.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds like the Aztecs are certainly on the up and up. We're all looking forward to this spring game. Kirk, we'll be talking more often here as we get a little closer to football season and as we get into the summer. Certainly appreciate your time, brother.
All right, and I'll listen to you guys get back at it.
Fair enough. Kirk Kenney.
Thanks, Kirk.
San Diego Union Tribune. Asked, when is the spring game? I should have asked him that, huh?
The actual spring game, I know that they have their, what is it called? I called it the wrong thing earlier. It's not the spring showcase. What is it, Chris?
It used to be like the red and black game or something like that.
Well, I was reading the press release here, and now, of course, I've navigated away from that page, so I don't have it in front of me. But I think this is all part of what's happening this weekend.
Okay, so it's this weekend.
Yeah, go on out Saturday. See what they got.
It's free, so you don't have to worry about the execution part on the field. Money won't be going to any of that part. So
it says
take a look
here that boy, I know it said it here. Come on.
I'm not quite at that age yet.
Talk amongst yourselves, as Kurt said.
Okay, all right.
What were we talking about before?
Well, the money and everything.
Yeah, go ahead.
I do understand people who think, I'm paying for their salaries because
fine.
Somehow
let's concede that
the money. Okay. And that's why I feel like people are a little bit more angry when a player who makes a lot of money doesn't perform, because it feels like that money is not going towards good and the ticket prices are rising at the same time. So it's like, we're not getting a better product.
Let's keep it a buck here. Let's keep it
like
$100.
$1.
No, let's keep it $100.
Oh,
right?
100.
If the ticket prices haven't been raised, do you think we would still be getting the same complaint about Xander Bogaerts not?
Yes, absolutely. I was specifically talking about the person who said, yes, it is coming out of my salary.
But okay, fine. I'll concede that point. It's coming out of your salary.
Actually, someone on the chat makes a really great point.
Give it to us.
We live in San Diego. Everything is expensive.
Touche. I just, the idea that I'm paying this amount of money, so my expectation with a human being
is that he never makes an out.
That he's going to not struggle is just it's silly.
It's kind of like, to me,
when you go out, you spend your money on a car, right?
I was going to say movie. Like, if I go to a movie, I pay my money for the movie.
Okay.
I didn't like the movie. I hated the movie. It was a terrible movie. I'm not asking for my money back. I'm not complaining about it. I'm just moving on with my life.
Guess what? Jack Nicholson still gets his $35 million.
No matter what.
That's a good point.
At least with you say you buy a car and it turns out to be a lemon. You can go get a new car because there's writing in there's nothing in there the contract that says, hey, if you somehow don't reach your level of performance, we have to then refund our
back.
Yeah. So I just it's a exercise that
we'll always practice. The spring game, according to JMac, April 20th at 1 p.m.
Saturday.
For the Aztecs. Yes,
1 p.m.
Saturday.
That's what we're talking about.
I know. I think that's what.
But they're calling it the Aztec Fast Showcase.
There you go.
That's the word I was looking for.
Saturday,
Aztec Fast Showcase.
At 1 p.m. and it's all part of San Diego State's Red and Black Weekend.
We are indeed through our number one daily gambit. On the other side, more Gwynn and Chris.
Heading on into hour number 2 of our Thursday get-together. The whole squad is in the building today. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby, Gwynn and Chris from the Odyssey Palace Studios here in San Diego, California. Heading towards 5 o'clock, and this week's version of the Padres commercial-free 1-hour roundtable, which you will hear between 5 and 6 p.m. tonight. Following that, Matt Skraby takes center stage with the Skraby Chronicles. We have a little daily gambit to get to here shortly. But before that, Tony, a couple of big injuries in the National Basketball Association. First, Zion Williamson, who exited that loss to the Lakers with about 4 minutes to go in a tie game and had to go off the floor. He is out for at least a couple of weeks. And that'll be should impact, I would think, New Orleans game against Sacramento tomorrow night. And then on the other side, Miami Heat star Jimmy Butler, several weeks with a right MCL injury. He hurt that in the loss last night to Philadelphia. Miami still nearly won that game, and Butler finished the game. He got hurt in the first half, went on to play the rest of the way, but shot only 3 of 14. As bad as and as little confidence as I have in my Bulls, if they can't beat the Miami Heat without Jimmy Butler, they're never going to beat them, because Jimmy Butler is the heart and soul of that team, and he won't play tomorrow night either.
My guy, that's a tough dude. If the reports are true that he's got some type of MCL
no kidding
issue, man,
he
to
finished
play
the
a
whole game. He did. He played the whole entire game. And then after the game, it was led on that he was hurt on the final play of the first quarter. So those two NBA games may be affected tomorrow night. We'll talk about those in the Daily Gambit tomorrow. But as far as today is concerned, it's a very light schedule in the world of sports on this Thursday. Almost everybody's taking the day off. But darn it, we found some stuff to bet on anyway.
You believe it?
Do you like money?
I think about money a lot.
Do you like money without doing anything?
Winning.
Do you want to make money while watching sports?
I think Washington is immortal luck.
Washington! Woohoo! If you answered yes, this is your segment. Just don't blame us when you lose.
Nothing is ever your fault.
It's your game. Take it.
Gwynn and Chris go through the top bets of the day in the Daily Gambit on 97.3 The Fan.
Daily Gambit is our daily sports betting segment here on Gwynn and Chris. Everybody, please gamble responsibly. Now, we did bets, 5 times last night. The first one would be the Angels and the Rays, and it was a total score in the game of over under 8.5 runs. Both Chris and I went under, but the final score totaled 9 runs.
Angels scored 2 in the 9th.
Oh, there you go.
Against, was it Peter Fairbanks?
Yep.
The Tampa Bay reliever who afterwards said,
if we have time, we need to play that.
I heard it was great. He said he was terrible.
Phenomenal.
He stunk.
Oh.
And he looked up at a clock and he said, I have 16 more minutes to feel like this, and then I'm moving on.
And the words he used was, he said, and it was very, you could tell he was irritated, but he was super calm. He was like, no, it was just a general suck. I don't think it was a specific suck. It's just a general suck today. I was bad in all
categories.
So I shouldn't drop him for my fantasy.
He cost us the over-under bet, though, by those 2
Wow,
wins.
he's also got some crazy hair.
That's how stressed he was last night.
Man, I didn't expect that picture. All right, the second bet we made, Sixers and the Heat last night. Sixers were 5.5-point favorites. Chris chose the Heat. I chose the Sixers. Sixers ended up winning this, but they won by 1 point. So the Heat are the ones that cover 105-104. Bulls -3 over the Hawks. Chris chose the Hawks. I chose the Bulls.
Yeah, I'm no faith. I never have faith.
Yeah. Bulls won big, though, 131-116.
And Kobe White had a
balling
career game, 42 points. But as Tony pointed out, the NBA does not record the statistics for the play-in games anywhere.
No.
They don't count for the regular season. They don't count as a playoff game. So this guy scored 42 points, his career high, but it will never be recorded in history anywhere. This is such a silly thing that the NBA needs to kind of change.
Now 20 years from now, when there's been a bunch of playing games, it'll be like the top scorer in playing games.
Yeah. I mean, give the guy, he scored 42 points, and to me, it's a playoff game. I know they're calling it a play-in, but it's absurd that he'll never get credit for that. Weird.
That is weird. That is another reason why the NBA confuses the heck out of me, and it makes me sad. DeMar DeRozan and Joel Embiid, 29.5 was their over-under for scoring last night. But we were choosing, right, Chris, who was going to actually score more.
Correct.
And we both chose DeMar DeRozan. Joel Embiid actually scored more. He had 23 points. DeRozan had 22 points.
Yeah. DeRozan got off to a hot start and then got out of the way and watched Kobe White dominate the game.
Hey, if someone
That's
else
what great
do
players do, though. Don't they, Tony? I mean, DeRozan knew he didn't have to step in and take over that game.
No.
Next game, he may have to, but not that one. So he just let the other guy do it.
The disappointing thing for the Bulls is that DeRozan's daughter is not going to be in attendance.
Yes, they need her
she would seal the deal.
Yell at the Miami Heat when they're shooting free throws.
I do remember that.
Yeah.
I do recall it annoying you a little bit.
Yes, you were so upset.
Yes, it did. I mean, this little girl, she's cute. She's a little girl.
Just being a little girl.
She's being a little girl.
Don't get me to try and think I'm going to agree with you. I'm not going to.
But she's like making a complete scene during an NBA basketball game. Okay, I know I'm fighting an uphill battle trying to trash a little girl.
No kidding. I mean, we know you're a hater, but at least make the people be over 10 years old before you hate them.
Okay.
Did you, real quick, this is off subject.
Yes.
Did you see the clip of Ian Poulter?
Oh, Ian Poulter?
His son getting this super cool card, Upper Deck card. Did you see this?
No, I'm not an Ian Poulter fan.
I'm not. I don't know who he is. I know he's a golfer.
An English golfer who crushes the U.S. in the Ryder Cup.
We'll get into this later. I'll explain it later. So.
All right. Chris, the last bet, I don't remember what we actually bet.
It was Trae Young versus Jimmy Butler. Who was going to score more points? Trae Young won that.
Okay.
Mostly because Jimmy Butler got hurt.
You won.
And I got the bet.
Yes,
so
that's what I thought.
6 and 8 for me, 4 and 10 for you this week.
Man.
By the way, I know Tony didn't get a chance to chime in on this. Did you want to chime in on the dismissal of Jonte Porter from the NBA for life and his gambling, or do you want more time for that? Because we talked about it at length yesterday.
Okay,
I don't know that people want to hear us go through our harangue.
I don't want to drag.
But I want to hear what you have to say.
No, I can do that pretty quick. I don't need a whole segment for it.
Go for it.
This goes to everything that you've been saying from the moment the first sports league said they wanted to make it legal.
Yeah.
Was that this was the road we were headed in. And the crazy part is, like, I understand why the sports want to do it, right? People gambling on your sport means more eyeballs. However, the other end of that scope is your players, because the thing that we've talked about, the thing you got to protect most is the integrity, the fairness of the actual game. Because once people think that this is WWE, it's a wrap. It's a wrap. You won't be able to go back. And the thing is, you could do all the fixing in the world. If people start to believe that the fix is in at whatever level, it's over. Sports as we know it is done. And so what I hope is that this penalty scares the bejesus out of everybody.
I hope so too.
And that they don't go down this route. But I tell you what, baseball, football, basketball, y'all better strengthen up these, come up with some different rules for your players. Are we going to be having this conversation more often?
I'm calling for baseball and football and basketball to just get out of these deals they have
good luck
with all of these gambling companies. I think they have to make the statement that as much as it might help us get eyeballs, the risk is too great.
I
know I'm not going to win, but I'm calling for it.
But it's like asking them to shorten the season.
No, I know, right?
Once
they're not
they
give up
that money,
yeah,
once they giving that money, they ain't giving it back.
I know they want the money, and I said this yesterday. There's a lot of complaining, and rightly so, about the salaries in the WNBA. Now that everybody knows how much these
went through
kids
it
make.
last night. It's pretty wild.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Well, if they can get to an NBA player, a gambler can get to them, an NBA player. What's going to happen if they start
seriously
approaching some of these WNBA players that are on the end of the bench?
When I was training,
it's scary.
When I was training to be a bank teller, they made us go through a class on learning when you were being quote unquote groomed to help people with information. Like so they always said that they always look for the people who make the least amount of money, because it will be more likely that they'll take the risk.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what's going on with gambling as well.
I mean, we used to, every year they used to bring in he wasn't a hitman, but he was a part of the mob. They was part of,
they bring him in.
They bring him in, and he'd be talking to us. He'd tell us exactly what they were looking for, the types of people they were looking for in terms of the players. And it's at the time, because gambling wasn't a thing like it is now, it was just kind of, this stuff just kind of went in one ear and out the other. But now it all makes a whole lot of sense as these guys keep falling off. And one more thing, this last thing, athletes, don't be dumb. Don't be a dumbass. Everybody is watching you. Everybody. The league is watching you. You're not going to get away. So you could try to have the best excuse and story lined up that you could possibly put together. You will be expelled from the league, as Mr. Porter was.
Yeah, that's the only way they can react right now.
Yep.
And please don't send me an email, but you guys do a Daily Gambit segment.
Chris, we have to accept that that's always going to happen every time we talk about gambling.
But we're just guys on the radio having fun picking games. So
well, we're going to be talking about the
difference.
dangers. Have you guys seen some of the text messages from Ipe? Like,
dog,
they are.
Dog. Ipe was in it deep.
It's sad.
It was,
because he's texting his bookie saying, "Hey, can you spot me another 200?
Can he use a different word than bump?
Yeah, he kept. Yeah, bump is a different thing to me.
He kept using bump. But
he did.
You could see. I mean,
you
Chris,
see desperation.
This man is talking. He's not talking in tens and twenties of dollars. He's like, let me get another
200.
200. Yeah. Like what?
He said, I'm good for it. Like whenever someone says, I'm good for it, they're not good for it.
This also brings me to one of the things that Skraby brought up last week when I was home about, people got it. Like if you just looked at Ipe, you would have thought that he had any of those issues going on. But apparently those text messages reveal something far different.
Yes, it reveals exactly how he felt all day, every day. All right, Chris, sorry.
No worries. I think it all needs to be talked about. Giants are a 1.5 favorite over the Diamondbacks tonight in San Francisco with Logan Webb on the hill, Ryan Nelson for Arizona. Who are you guys leaning towards there? 2 NL West.
Ryan Nelson,
clubs.
who was the other one?
Logan Webb starting for San Francisco, who's off to a slow start. I think he's 1-2 with an ERA of about 4. Giants are 8-11. Diamondbacks are 9-10. Neither of them playing all that well yet behind the Padres in the standings.
I'm going to go Diamondbacks.
Oh, really?
Yes.
I don't think anybody asked you, but that's fine.
No one was saying anything, so I thought I would move this along.
I was waiting for the question.
Tony, who do you like here?
I like the Giants.
San Francisco. I'll take San Francisco too. Logan Webb's due to twirl a masterpiece. Speaking of Logan Webb, 4.5 strikeouts is his over-under tonight. Tony, you're first. Over or under 4.5 Ks from Mr. Webb?
Over.
If he's going to win, he's going to be over. So I will agree. Skraby?
He usually gets his Ks. I'll say over.
Over. Oklahoma and BYU, college baseball. Don't know a thing about it, but we're desperate tonight.
Did you say over on the case?
Yes, I did.
Oh, okay.
Oklahoma's at BYU. 1.5 runs. Oklahoma's favored. Couldn't tell you a thing about either squad, but there aren't many games tonight.
I can tell you one thing.
What can you tell us?
That I ain't picking BYU.
That's right. And I'm first. I'll take Oklahoma.
Sooners, baby.
Second. Oh, another's okay. Skraby, you want to be a contrarian?
Go Cougars.
Oh, wow. You're taking BYU on this show. Risky, I say.
I don't even know what sport we're talking about.
That was college
baseball. That
baseball.
Even matter.
There.
You picked BYU, so
they seem like they would be good at baseball. Oklahoma seems like they would be better, though. Wow, I'm getting the death stare from Tony right now.
Oh, you're going to get it from both of us. Final night.
Rooting for BYU is not Dodger loving, chat.
It's pretty close.
It basically is. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
It's the same thing. Same colors and all.
Final night of the National Hockey League regular season for those keeping track. Blackhawks finish up in Los Angeles against the Kings. Kings are going to the playoffs. Blackhawks are not. Kings are favored by 1.5 goals.
Somebody kept their playoffs hopes alive with a crazy comeback.
It was really weird. It was the Capitals. They were playing the Flyers or something. I might be wrong on that. But anyway, the opponent they were playing needed to win the game to stay in contention. So that team pulled their goalie in a tie score to try to get the winning goal. And because they needed to win, they couldn't afford a tie. So when they pulled their goalie, the Capitals scored an empty net goal, and that put the Capitals into the playoffs.
Oh, man.
So it's very strange.
That is strange.
How it all worked out.
It's kind of awesome, though.
Yeah, it was. All right, who do you like here, Skrabe? Kings or Chicago in the final game of the year?
I keep doing the Kings. I'll do them.
Stick with the Kings. Tony?
Let's go with the Kings.
Kings for you. Blackhawks, I mean, I say, you're going golfing tomorrow, so you might as well put in one more good effort tonight. I'll take the Blackhawks.
That's really
to keep it
optimistic thinking because it's like last day of school for these guys.
Yeah, they get to go home and go golfing tomorrow. All right, I think that's it. It's a really light night. There's hardly anything in sports on the scoreboard.
Ain't but like 6 baseball games a day.
Right, most of them are over already. All right, we'll take a quick timeout. When we come back, I don't know. I was going to talk a little bit about, the Lakers and the Bulls because both teams looked really good this week.
Well, I'm always down to talk Lakers.
Yeah, I mean, the NBA playoffs are starting to come into focus a little bit. So let's check out that after we check out traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic
Welcome back. Gwynn and Chris, a.k.a. the Gaslighters. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Sello, Matt Skraby.
I don't know. When I think of gaslighting, no, I'm not going to say what I think of.
Do you think of?
I'm not going to say what I think of. Don't make me.
I don't have my fart sound effects. I don't have it.
Why is it that you knew that's what I was thinking of?
I mean, anything gas or children.
We have been around each other for quite some time.
We are like 8 years old.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Talking some NBA basketball. Lakers are into the playoffs officially. And they're taking
what idiots they are for winning a game the other night and putting themselves in a position where they have to play the Nuggets when they could have just lost the game and risked their entire season for a chance to play Oklahoma City. I love what Darvin Ham said about it. He said, you and what insane asylum said we should lose this game?
He's also said to his team right after the game, in a little more slang terms, he said, we not ducking no smoke and when all fades. And for those who may not know what a fade is, it's a fight. We're not ducking any fades. We want all of them out there.
There's no reason they should. Number one, they've got LeBron James on their team. They've got Anthony Davis on their team. And, look, the Lakers are about winning the championship or not. They're not about making a playoff run.
No, they're not.
So if you're going to win the championship, you're going to have to beat Denver in one step somewhere.
You might as well get it done now.
Play it. And I think they have a legit chance. I know Denver's the defending champs. I know Denver's had their number. The games are a little closer, though, than we think they have been, Tony. They've all come down to the last 2 minutes, and it seems like the Lakers let them all get away. I don't know that Denver can count on that in this series. I think the Lakers have a legit shot here, and I'm not just saying that because, I'm really not a big Laker fan. I just think that they're good.
I have been watching J.J. Redick and LeBron James's podcast, which is, if you're really getting into the X's and O's of basketball, I think you'll enjoy it. But I bring that up because LeBron brought up a great point. He was talking about the Warriors and how you can't have a letdown at any point against them because of the way their offense kind of works. It's kind of the same way Denver is now. It looks different because it's ran through Jokic and Murray. But if you have any letdown with Jokic with the ball, he's going to find that open guy. And they typically have
they'll find it quickly.
And they find it quickly.
Yeah,
so
he is such a good decision maker.
I'm feeling much better because I'm pretty sure I said on air that if we have to play Denver, we have no shot. I'm gonna walk that back a little bit. I'm feeling a little bit better. About
when I think of Jokic,
now.
though, I can't help but think of those Twitter videos of the kids who imitate him, stumbling up and down the court. He is one of the funniest runners I've ever seen.
He 100% is.
In the history of mankind.
And he might have the only jump shot in the NBA that looks like your fellow old man at the YMCA behind the neck.
Except the result.
Right
down the
cash money.
Down the middle. Yeah. Denver will play the Lakers. I think.
Can we talk about your team a little bit?
Yeah. I mean, Chicago, I never have any faith in them, but they played really well. Kobe White had such a great game, and they were really in command. I wish that every team that the Bulls played no defense like the Hawks, because it really isn't that hard. You make one dribble and you're past the first guy, and then the next thing you know, you're dunking the basketball. There's no resistance against the Hawks. So, but the Bulls catch a big break, and we'll see if they take advantage of it. Jimmy Butler not going to play. He's the heart and soul of the Heat. I mean, Chicago, to me, you have to take advantage of it. Then they would have to play Boston, and I know that would be curtains. But Boston is like a lot of teams in the NBA. And this is what I wanted to run by you, Tony, because you watch a lot more NBA than I did. Skraby and I talked about this yesterday, so I did a little fact-checking. But it seems to me that the team that hits the most three-point shots or is the most adept at hitting three-point shots almost always wins these NBA games. And I looked that up in the 4 games that have been played in the play-in tournament so far. The winning side has made 55 threes and has shot 44% from the arc, which is really, really good. The losing side has made only 44 threes and has shot 31%. So the team shooting 44% won all the games. The team shooting 31% lost all the games. Is the NBA getting to be that simple now, where if you just shoot great from three, you can beat anyone? Or am I missing something? Because it really seems to play such a huge part in almost every game. I know the Lakers shot great the other night, and when they do, they're really hard to beat.
Yeah, I mean, to answer your question, when you look at it from a number standpoint, it is that simple, right? And I think, the problem with the three-pointer, especially what we saw in Boston last year, because this is how they've played the last couple of years.
That's what I think of with Boston. They could go cold.
If you go
conceivably.
Cold, we saw it happen. I mean, that's why they lost the series to the Heat in that, 1-8 matchup, whatever it ended up being.
Yeah.
If you go cold, one of those teams can get, and they never adjusted. They kept firing threes away.
Yeah.
And if your team isn't shooting the ball well, you can lose a series. But to your point, and I think this is what Boston's idea is, they're going to get up so many of them that, the idea is, even if we're having a bad shooting night, we're going to get up so many that we're still going to make enough to have a chance to win the game.
Well, Boston won a record number of games this year by, 30 points or something? Tony, I don't know what the stat was officially, but if you look at their regular season, they won a ton of games by blowout. And to me, those were the nights when they were just hitting their threes.
Yeah.
They scored. They beat Indiana. I'm looking back. They beat Indiana by 51 early in the season. I think they won 3 or 4 games by 50 points. And when they're hitting their threes, I mean, they make 25, 26 of them. It's lights out.
Yeah.
But I just wonder if they can ride that one aspect all the way to the championship. I don't know. I don't think it's great for the NBA. I still like, a little offense run. And I know that, setting a ball screen and putting Jason Tatum out there is almost unstoppable. So why do anything else? But it's more fun to watch all 5 guys moving around at once out there. And, I think the NBA is getting away from that too much.
I think the crazy part is, I think the teams that outside of the Celtics, I think everybody else is, in Denver, when you watch Denver, they throw that ball down to Jokic, everybody's moving.
No, you're right.
On the backside. The really good teams still do that.
Yeah.
They still have elements of that. Now, I think this league is still, ball screen dominant, but it certainly, the teams that we'll be talking about later in this run, I don't think there's very many of them that play like Boston, where they just are getting up that many threes.
Unbelievable what they do. What was the game against Milwaukee where they shot 85 threes and 2 free throws?
Yeah.
Like,
I think Boston didn't shoot any that game. I think the 2 free throws came from Milwaukee that day.
That's taking it to an extreme for sure. All right.
I believe it's me to get us to break, huh? All right, let's get us to break. I just saw what we have next. A little PPP coming our way.
Get us back to the Padres.
Yeah, let's get back to some Padre talk. Hopefully it's on the positive side.
No.
Okay, just wishful thinking.
Wishful thinking.
More Gwynn and Chris on the other way. On the other way.
8:37 is the time. Chris Ello, Tony Gwynn Jr., Matt Skraby, Gwynn and Chris. 97.3 The Fan, Nick DiNucci doing a nice job on the board today for us. We appreciate that. Skraby is hands-free on the program today.
I'm a little lost, to be honest.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, you don't know what to do with yourself.
Is that all that different from what normally
This is another type of lost.
Oh, okay.
Because when I'm lost over there, I'm in my own element. But I'm lost over here. I just have to sit here with my hands like folded. What do I do over here?
I did not see this, but Pittsburgh Pirates pitcher Aroldis Chapman today suspended 2 games, fined an undisclosed amount. How much is that normally, Tony? An undisclosed amount? What's that run? A 10 grand?
That's a good question.
Something like
they
that.
do a good job with the undisclosed. Like, unless the player is going to tell you, you really won't find out.
You won't find out. Chapman, inappropriate actions during Monday's game against the Mets.
What did he, like, tickle him or something?
He
tickled the umpire,
Yes.
Edwin Moscoso.
Oh, good old Moscoso.
The way Tony just reacted tells me this doesn't surprise Tony.
Edwin is not. I don't
He's
know
not
Edwin,
good.
but I don't like his umpiring sometimes.
You know,
I gotta say this. I've gotten to know a lot of these umpires,
right?
And having Mike Winters around this year
gives you a lot of perspective.
Has been a lot of fun, man.
Yeah,
like,
I'm telling you.
it's just
not easy.
I just have a bunch of nerd questions anyway about umpires because I've been around them so long.
Yeah.
Most of the guys I still know pretty well. And when I see them, we have conversation. But it is refreshing a little bit to kind of hear it from his point of view. Now, not all the umpires agree with him. You know, he's all for the automated any way we can make the game and help them get the calls right.
Right.
He's all for it.
Mike Winters.
That's not everybody. You know, Mike Winters is no longer an actual umpire, so his opinion doesn't matter as much. But it is refreshing to kind of hear things from his side, from that side.
Interesting that Chapman will get a suspension. I don't know what will happen to the Toronto manager, and they're coming here this weekend.
Yes.
They're probably already here. Forgive me for honestly not. Is it Gibbons still?
No.
They've moved on from him
for quite a while.
I'm sorry. We don't follow the American League. And when these teams come in, I don't know who all these guys are.
That's fair.
But Toronto was playing the Yankees yesterday, and we had the game up on TV. And one of the, it was a Toronto batter. I think it was Guerrero, took one. I got to be honest with you, Tony. It looked about a half an inch below the knee. And it was called a strike. And if you could read lips, the Toronto manager screamed from the dugout, "You suck."
So that probably wasn't the first call. It probably was.
Well, my point is, and then he got tossed.
He got run. Can't say it. Those are magic words.
And then he came out, and he must have said that magic word, if I could read lips, another 6 or 7 times.
Yeah.
And I'm just, I try to come out a little from the umpire side. It was the wrong call. But do we really need to treat each other with that kind of disrespect? I know it's baseball. I know it's part of the fun. Seems like you can get your point across without demeaning a human being to that extent. Sorry, but that's kind of the way I looked at it.
I think a lot of times when you're heated, in terms of him saying the magic words more than once, it's really the only thing that is coming into your head. You're seeing red.
I'm sure
this,
afterwards he's got to be like, wait a minute, what was I doing?
You would love to have this debate style comeback where it's just like clean.
Well, you know, sir,
it's just at least 36 inches below. You know, you'd love to have something like that,
right?
But it just comes out as those magic words often.
Yeah. Well, I'm really feeling very bad about the fact that I don't know who the manager of the Blue Jays is.
John Schneider.
Oh, you say that like everybody in the world knows it.
I said it yesterday.
Or like he just looked it up.
No, I said it yesterday in the commercial break, and I was kind of proud of myself.
It is John Schneider.
I did not look it up.
It is John Schneider, because now I think about it, one of my favorite managers is on his staff, Don Mattingly.
Yeah.
Oh, Mattingly's on the man.
Look at me knowing all the managers.
He looks like Santa Claus now.
Can somebody
without the belly?
Can somebody put Mattingly in the Hall of Fame where he belongs, please?
Yeah, man.
My goodness, what a hitter he was. All right. We digress. Let's get to, oh my goodness. Brace for it, Tony. I'm not talking about traffic. I'm talking about what's after that. Padres pen pals.
From the night.
Right at the 805, the Cordell and Cordell traffic cam shows a stalled vehicle blocking that right lane south 805 past University. Viejas Casino and Resort is home to the best players club in My Viejas. Start earning points toward incredible rewards like free gifts, concert tickets, hotel stays, dining discounts, and more. It's time to ditch the other guys and join the best. The My Viejas Players Club, Viejas Casino and Resort. And Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's time to ask the experts, Padres fans.
I was hoping maybe you can bring a little insight into it.
Write us, tweet us, Facebook us, send a carrier pigeon for Chris. He thinks they're cute. Aww. Padres Pen Pals begins.
Hurt the pelota big time.
Now on 97.3 The Fan.
Another thing I can't stand about my new spot is this chair is probably the worst. This table is unusually low to the ground. Do you guys agree that this table is very low to the ground?
Not for us normal folks who have been sitting here for 5 years.
That's true.
It seems quite normal, actually.
I just hate this chair. I just feel out of sorts, but we're going to get through this Padres pen
I don't
pals.
come to work every day to hear you complain.
But you
you do come to work every day.
Of it, though,
I know.
every day.
I get a steady dose of it.
You do. You get your medicine every day. All right. This is not all about Xander Bogaerts, as the chat says. There is a Xander Bogaerts question, but it has to do with someone else. So let's get right into it. And Nick, you can just start the bed. But Tony, you're going to be up first on this one.
Let's do it.
Something that isn't talked about, but this was actually this is me talking.
Wait, which this is
Before
your question?
we get into the message, something that isn't talked about, but was asked on the chat earlier today. I'm relaying this from the chat.
Got you.
We were talking about Xander Bogaerts and his contract, but this person hesitates to ask because they are about to criticize an untouchable in Joe Musgrove. The person said they don't really think he's bad or anything, but if they're going to criticize Xander, shouldn't we criticize No Joe? I love him, but I've seen this all over the place, and I can't figure out how I feel about it, is what this person is saying. Tony, what do you think?
First, what is he's seen the criticism of Joe all over the place?
If we're going to, yes. If we're going to, not.
Or he's seen criticism of Xander, and so he said he's not the only one, is basically
Correct.
saying.
Yes.
I mean, that's kind of just the ebb and flow of baseball. I mean, Joe hadn't thrown the ball well. He threw it better in that Milwaukee game. Yu Darvish hasn't thrown the ball as well as he can. Manny, Ha-Sung, they've all struggled to start. Manny's gotten going here in the last 5 or 6 games. He's swinging a bat better. This is, the cliche. It's a team sport. I mean, this is kind of explains that all. I mean, everybody's going to struggle. You guys both have brought up numbers of my pops struggling. This is part of baseball. No one, even in a year in which Ted Williams hit .409,
right?
He had some struggles during that year.
That means he got out 60% of the time.
Right. And so to the what's the lady or gentleman's name?
There's no real name because it came from the chat. It was a collection of comments.
I just think ultimately, guys are going to struggle. And I think it's incumbent upon us who are watching to understand that and not necessarily single someone out. I think we've got Xander's being singled out because he's making a lot of money and he's struggling. He's not the first. Excuse me. Nor will he be the last.
Okay.
Sorry, guys.
Chris, what do you think?
Was that gaslighting?
That was gaslighting
Literally.
Just to be sure.
What do you think about criticizing Joe?
Criticizing No Joe? Yeah. Again, do so at your own peril. Last year on May the 20th, Joe Musgrove's record was 1-2 with a 6.75 ERA.
Speak to him, Chris.
All right, that was May the 20th, so
You're
that's much
gaslighting
later
right
into the season. After that, Joe Musgrove lost only one more game, finished 10-3 with a 3.05. Now, that doesn't guarantee anything for this year, But again, I'm going to go with the record that I've seen over 6 or 7 years as opposed to what I've seen over 2 or 3 starts.
Gaslighter!
Yes. I love Joe Musgrove, and I'm going to defend him to the end. He could go 2-10 this year, and I'd still be able to throw in your complaining face out there that he shut down the Mets to win the division playoff. I mean, and he's thrown the only no-hitter in franchise history. And he's one of the most terrific guys that we're around.
And he works.
So it's pretty hard for me to be critical of Joe. I'm just not gonna.
He works his tail off too. Like, I can't even start down a path of criticizing Joe. You guys know I have a hard time criticizing any of these dudes because I know what they putting into it. But specifically this man, that dude turns over every.
He's getting people together in the offseason to do like team bonding stuff on that boat. That was cool. All right, let's go to the next one. Nicholas,
a real one.
This is actually kind of just for me and Chris, but you can comment, Tony.
I got it real quick.
Yeah.
So I said, "Excuse me, everybody. I belched." I just got a text from our one of our good listeners, Aaron Jaffe, and he sent me a text of the Jaguars GM ripping a fart halfway through his answer.
Really? In a media conference?
In a media conference.
Boy. Yeah, that's embarrassing.
No, I didn't do that.
No,
I belched.
You're fine,
and it
Tony.
was like a barely a belch.
Yeah, you're fine compared to that.
Leave me alone, Aaron.
Oh, okay. He just sent me a text too. All right. By the way, he had a really funny post. And he is a very tall man, so he went around to all the different things that said you can't come in if you're 6'8" or taller, and so he kept hitting his head on things. It was pretty.
He is that tall.
All right, so Chris, this is about us. I have a problem.
Oh, this was about you. I read this, and I was thinking to myself, this ain't directed at me.
No, it's not.
Okay, I'll sit this one out.
I have a problem to address with you and Chris. You guys can't stop whining about Juan Soto being great with the Yankees. In fact, I would say you two are overshadowing the impact on the team while he was with the Padres. All of last season was not his fault, and getting on base is getting on base. Chris, why do you guys keep hating on Juan Soto?
Why do I keep hating on Juan Soto?
See?
Yeah, see?
All right, give me an answer, sir.
Give me an answer, see?
Well, you go first.
Oh, gosh. I didn't even know. Why do I keep hating on Juan Soto? Because I just don't think he ever really cared about being a Padre. I don't think he did.
What did Cam Newton do when that wide receiver was talking to him?
He did. He fell out of his chair because he was so bored. But Tony literally just fell out of his chair, everybody, because I said that. I criticize Juan Soto because I've never seen a guy struggle so much for a team and then go to another team and just be incredible out the gate.
I can't do this.
Just like, did you?
He's leaving the studio.
He's leaving the room?
Yeah.
It's frustrating to me to see all this. Chris?
I'll just answer your question by reading a tweet I got from Johnny Mako FSC.
Okay.
It says, at 97.3 The Fan, at Matt Skraby, at Tony Gwynn Jr. It says, hey, at Crisello SD. I have always thought the same way you do about Juan Soto. I bet I even thought that about him way before you did. I'm just saying there's some people who agree.
Yeah, there are.
I can't be critical of Juan Soto and his statistics, and I'll never be critical of his statistics. He's just not my style of player. That's all I can say, and that's all that I think is fair to say. You know, he's not my kind of guy. So
I think
that's why I don't miss him as much as everybody else does.
Know, I give Chris a hard time. I know what he's actually saying. And I get that he's not his type of player. I totally get that.
Yesterday, I mean, he could have won the game for them, but he took a walk and let Aaron Judge win the game.
Didn't he hit a homer early in that game?
He did.
Yeah, okay, he's hit a bunch of home runs, and he's hitting like 336 right now. He's leading the league in walks.
You don't have to yell at me. I was just asking. Gosh,
I can't wait until someone pays $700 million for him.
And I will just add to it that I did find it hilarious that the radio guys in New York went crazy on walking. That was really funny.
Swing the bat, bro! Swing the bat!
I had I think it was Alden. He when I saw him in LA, we had a good chuckle about that.
The WFAN.
We had a good chuckle about that.
All right, let's get to the next one. I am trying to be as patient as you guys are with the Padres, but I just can't do it. I am not going to be too serious about this, but Johnny Brito has not been very good to start the year. I am not saying he needs to be sent down. I am not saying he needs to be traded or DFA'd, but I want to know this. Tony, do players get longer leashes when they are part of a big trade?
You know what? What's this gentleman's name?
I would have to go in my DMs.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't give the names anymore because people like, oh, you said my name. I said don't say my name. So.
Oh, okay. Fair enough. Good question. Do players get longer leashes if what? If
they're part of like a big trade, which he was, the Juan Soto trade.
Yeah, I don't know if they get big. They get a probably a longer leash, especially when you gave up
Juan Soto.
There you go. I didn't want to. You're probably gonna give these guys a little bit of chance, right? And I think right now, and this is why I think Mike Schilt is so. He's trying to find soft landing spots for him to kind of build his confidence. He pitched well his last time out. It was at a spot where it was a little bit of softer landing for him. And I would honestly expect to see him in those spots until he proves otherwise. And that's what I think I've enjoyed about the bullpen in general is that Mike Schilt has put guys in different situations, different spots while he's trying to figure out outside of Suarez who those guys are going to be. And it came out right now. It looks like Peralta, Matsui are the two late inning guys aside from Suarez. But I think it's a fair question. I think he is being given a longer leash. I think he will be giving a longer leash until, they feel like either someone below deserves a chance more than he does or until he figures it out.
Chris, do you think guys get a longer leash when they're part of a big trade?
Welcome to the rest of the world.
That's a great point. Yes.
People that make more money in all aspects of life are given a little more opportunity. That's just part of the world. When I came to San Diego State, I had a certain scholarship, but it wasn't the same level as some other guys. And if they didn't get guys out, guess what? They came right back out and pitched again until they figured it out. When I didn't get guys out, I sat and thought about it for a few games.
Yeah.
It's just, yes, the world is not fair. Certain people get other opportunities. I will say this about Johnny Brito, though. His numbers have not impressed me, but I did watch him closely the other day in Milwaukee. His ball moves around like a son of a gun.
Yeah, it does.
If he ever gets that thing organized, they're going to have a trouble hitting him because that ball has some serious movement on it. He just hasn't harnessed it yet. So
that's what they're looking at, too.
Don't give up on him yet.
Here, the other thing is real quick, like when I got drafted as a second-round pick, I'm going to get more of a look, more of a chance than maybe the 10th or 11th round pick in that draft.
Yeah, they invested in you more.
Exactly. And so that's partly why the investment was Juan Soto. So everybody coming over is going to be given a good look.
All right. Thank you to everyone who submitted
Is that
their
it?
questions.
I was hoping there were more.
That wasn't even that bad.
I think you're gaslighting me now.
Gaslighter!
All right.
Chris vs. the Fans is next. 833-288-0973. You could go to Las Vegas. But you have to dial in and play.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Tony Gwynn Jr., Chris Ello, Matt Skraby, Lil Gwynn and Chris. Lil Chris versus the fans headed your way. Chance to qualify for our grand prize, a 2-night stay at Westgate Las Vegas Resort and Casino. 2 tickets to Kool and the Gang. Now that I can get down with some Kool and the Gang. Back by popular demand, and after multiple sold-out shows, the legendary funk group Kool and the Gang returns to the stage at Westgate Las Vegas Resort Casino with their residency through 2024. Get tickets now at Ticketmaster.com. The Westgate Las Vegas Resort Casino features newly designed premier rooms, part of their $70 million room renovation. Home of legendary fun. Vegas fun, that is. How has Chris versus the fans been going?
Just wrecking people. Well, we didn't play much this week because the Padres were playing the Brewers, but he wrecks people all the time now.
He wrecks people, huh?
Tears through my questions.
He's due for a slump, so we'll see. Maybe it'll happen today.
What's your favorite Kool and the Gang song?
My favorite, Working My Way Back to You, Babe.
Wasn't really asking you.
Well, that was going to be my favorite song.
That was a mean joke. I was asking you, Chris. I'm being mean.
You weren't asking me?
I was asking you. I was just being mean.
My dad was a big Kool and the Gang.
Oh, okay.
Kool and the Gang is all right.
That's funk. Right?
Celebrate. I mean, they still play that after like every game.
Celebrate.
It's an all-timer.
Come on.
All-timer. It's time to celebrate.
Okay. You're ruining Kool and the Gang. Let's knock it off.
Too much.
Knock it off,
yeah.
please.
Sorry.
It's not the Skrabinators.
Sorry about that.
Speaking to you, Skrabinators, your leader will be here to speak with you tonight at 6 p.m.
Yes.
Following the Padre Roundtable. All right, I have the screen today, so I'll give you the contestant. And we're going to start with Zach and Chula Vista on line 4 there.
Okay.
On line 4.
You had one shot, one opportunity to take down the human almanac himself.
Howdy do.
Now is your time.
Listen to me, this guy is dangerous.
Now is your opportunity to win a prize.
Well, I hope you know what you're in for.
Chris versus the fans starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right. Thank you, Nick, for remembering that part of the whole
doing
game.
things correctly.
You have to make it through 3 questions. Each question will get more difficult. If you get the question right, you move on. If you get it wrong and Chris gets it right, you're eliminated. But if Chris gets it wrong, then you move on to the next question or you win. If you are a first-time player, everybody that time. Nick, where were you on that one, bro?
Somebody pulled up to Petco and had me do that.
Yes!
I can't remember who it was.
I love it.
But they were like, we love when you guys do the player.
And we've been criticized for that by other people.
I know. So
just goes to show you.
Damned if you do, damned if you don't.
All right. Yeah, we've done all the rules, so we can get to our
first let's start with Thomas.
Thomas?
No, I'm kidding. Nope. Zach knew he was
sorry.
I was playing with Zach there.
Zach, welcome to the show. How are you, my friend?
Yeah, thanks for playing me there. I also wanted to say, I've been listening to Chris's golden voice since I was a boy. How did I not know he played at San Diego State? I was living under a rock, I guess.
Huh? Yeah.
I had no clue. I had no clue.
He doesn't brag on himself too much, but he was.
He had a couple of years in. Couple of years.
I think we're missing the main point of that phone call. He said you had a golden voice.
I know. I like that.
Very nice.
Thank you very much, Zach. I will try to lose to you on purpose.
Zach knows what he's doing.
I see what you're doing, Zach. Here we go. First question.
First time player, by the way.
First time player.
My bad.
Moves right to number 2.
Here we go. What player? Wait, let me read this question. I'm going to read it exactly how it's written. What player the Padres just saw leads baseball in steals?
Oh, we just saw him. I know it's not Churio. Is it Harang? Is that his name?
Harang?
Oh, I didn't tell Nick where the buzzer is.
Could you walk over to him, show him where the buzzer is, please, so we can play this game right there? He found it.
He found it.
That is not right.
I feel bad, but I mean, we can't give it to him just because there's other callers out there that would be upset. It's Turang. It's very close.
Close.
Very close, Zach. Bryce Turang with a T.
Yes.
So, yeah.
That's we.
But Zach, thank you for the kind words.
Did you
I
tell
really
him where
appreciate it.
The right button is? The ding?
Yes. Very nice of Zach to say those nice things. That will make me feel very, very well later in the day.
There it is.
Yes.
Thank
you, Zach. I'm sorry.
And honestly, I almost feel like giving it to him, except for the other callers who feel like you should get it right.
Right.
So
you're just greasing. He was greasing the wheels, and you're.
I was trying to stick up for him.
Right.
There.
To Zach's point, he said Harang, which
Aaron Harang
would have been Aaron Harang, who was an Aztec as well. So
he was a Red when I lived in Cincinnati, and people loved him. There.
I love Aaron.
He's a very nice
guy. He's one of my best friends. He's
Patrick
a good dude.
Henry Patriot.
He
and Eric Karras.
Oh wow,
both played there.
Eric went to the Patrick Henry.
Yes, he did. Eric
is something else.
Yes.
I'll tell you that.
You know what Eric Karras is, which I was surprised. We're getting off the game for a minute. The all-time leader in home runs since the Dodgers moved to Los Angeles.
He is indeed.
Eric Karras. I would have never, of all the great players that have played for the Dodger Blue.
He might tell you that if you see him.
He would remind us of that.
He might.
He remind us that
hey,
he's the guy.
Chris, did you know that I lead the
and I
Dodgers
would now
in
be
home
able to
runs?
say, yes, I do know that, Eric.
All right.
Joseph, number 3 there.
Joseph, come on down.
Hi, Joseph. Hello.
What's up, Joseph? Here we go. First question. All right, Nick, I'm going to need that to be a little louder next time, brother. Here we go. Who was the manager of the Giants before Bruce Bochy?
Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I need to take that out.
Wait, why are you taking it out?
We did it yesterday.
That wouldn't be right anyway.
Yes, it would.
Wait, before Bruce Bochy?
Yeah.
No.
Before Gabe Kapler.
Oh.
No, I'm
but we
sorry.
already did that.
I'm sorry. Yes,
Yes, they did actually do that one yesterday.
All right, here we go.
The answer would have been Bruce Bochy.
The answer would have been Bruce Bochy.
Yeah. All right.
Question number 1 again. What NBA team got the number 1 seed in the Western Conference this year?
Oh, there you go.
That would be the Thunder.
Thunder. Dun, dun, dun,
Nice
dun.
That is correct.
Nice
On to question number 2. Where is soon to be number 1 overall NFL?
Oh, wait. Oh, gosh. I'm really messing up these questions.
We
today.
did this one too?
No.
Oh, you don't want to know where he grew up.
No, I do, but I didn't phrase it correctly.
All right, we'll let him get this question corrected.
Okay.
Oh, my goodness.
There we go.
There
All right.
we go.
Can you imagine if they did this on real game shows?
No, I feel bad
Jeopardy or
today. I feel
something like-
bad. I feel bad.
Alex Trebek back in the day.
No, this is bad
Dudley D,
producing.
doodly da.
Wouldn't it be more entertaining though?
Here we go. Where did soon to be number 1 overall NFL pick Caleb Williams grow up?
Oh my God.
Oh shoot. I know they were talking about this because of Wash. Oh. Something with Washington. It was Washington. Washington.
Washington.
I know they're talking about it with the Commanders.
Are we saying state? Or are we saying?
Okay.
Well, you said grew up, so I'm assuming
it. We're
the
buzzing
city.
it. We're buzzing it.
We're buzzing it.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Sorry. This is the X symbol on the camera.
No
Nick.
one knows what that is. Buddy.
Yes, Chris, you're up. Stay there though.
What is the question? After all
Where
of
did
that
Caleb
confusion.
Williams grow up? Basically,
In his parents' home.
sure.
It's not-
Oh, you want to know where that was? I don't know. Santa Monica.
Santa Monica!
Couldn't even begin to tell you where he's from. That's right?
No.
Oh.
This is a very disjointed Christmas
That's okay.
affair.
We'll get
I'm
there.
sorry,
We'll
everybody.
get there. We have some new moving parts.
Yes.
This is great.
He's still alive though. Our contestant.
Joseph, you're still in there. Where is he actually from?
He grew up in Washington, D.C.
Oh, well,
So
actually, Joseph was.
Well,
pretty
he
close.
said
Yeah.
Washington.
He said
didn't
Washington,
know-
didn't say the D.C. All right,
Yeah.
good enough, Joseph.
Joseph, you're on to the next round
yeah,
anyway,
you moved
buddy.
on. So,
Question-
good for you.
Sorry to everybody who's listening.
Number 3.
Washington, D.C. I'll have to remember that.
3 pitchers lead baseball in saves. Name 2 of the 3. I only have 2, so
I know. I'm giving you the last one.
And for the season?
for the
Right now.
season, right now,
Right now, this instant.
3.
I'm gotta go based off of my fantasy. So
Can't hurt.
maybe one is Suarez.
Okay.
Give me another.
Give another one.
Too.
The only other closer that I can possibly think of is maybe. Oh gosh. I don't know. Maybe Foley. Sorry.
Foley.
Foley from the Tigers.
Foley from the Tigers.
Foley from the Tigers.
Stay right there. Chris has to get this right.
I'll say Suarez. And I don't know, that's a lot of saves right now.
No one.
Evan Phillips. I don't really know.
Wow.
Good for you, Joseph.
Wins.
Is Suarez
Joseph,
one of them?
You backed right into that.
Suarez
no,
isn't
Suarez
even one of them.
He's not.
Oh.
I'll give you all three since this game is now
I
officially
thought
over.
Suarez was
Thank
the guy.
goodness.
Clay Holmes,
Clay Holmes.
Kyle Finnegan.
Kyle Finnegan, who Washington.
Yes, and then
surprising, right?
And then Helsley from the Cardinals.
Really?
They all
How
have
many do
7.
they have?
7.
They do.
Robert Suarez is the only player with 6.
Robert Suarez has 6. I thought Robert Suarez was leading the league.
Well, he's 6 for 6. They're all 7 for 8.
They've all had one blown save.
Yes.
All right. Well, that works out well for
And-
Joseph.
And Robert Suarez has thrown like 50-something straight fastballs in his last 4
Right.
outings. It's been quite phenomenal. to
It's
watch.
yeah. I mean, are they even putting a signal down?
That's a good question. I haven't because they don't put signals down anymore. I wonder, are
You
they
don't
even
know.
pushing the button?
This is just how I think. But when I hear that Robert Suarez has hit or thrown like 50 fastballs in a row, is he just waiting for that one time he can cash in the off-speed pitch so that he can fool someone?
No, I think he's just like, no one's hitting it. I'm going to keep throwing it until someone
Not a lot of
actually
reason
hits
to
it.
change at the moment.
No, I get it. But if there's one strike you need,
I know, but I would
he's
say
saving
I
the
would say,
breaking
I would
pitch.
think the opposite.
okay.
As a pitcher, I would think the opposite. Because he's pitching always in a situation where one pitch can beat him,
100%.
and you never want to lose a game on your second best pitch.
That is a golden
So if you
rule.
throw a curveball and somebody whacks it out of the park, you're going to really be mad.
Your first
At
curveball,
yourself.
70
Yeah,
fastballs,
right.
gets hit.
and just goes
So,
out the park, and you
yeah.
lose.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a good answer, Chris. Thank you.
Who won right
Joseph.
there? Joseph,
Yes.
congratulations, man.
Way to
Hang
go,
on the
Joseph.
line. Nick Danucci, when we get to break, we'll get your info, get you lined up to possibly be the grand prize winner.
That's right.
All right. We need to get to break. For once, we're going to do this on time. When we come back, what do we got when we come back, Scrape?
Well, I have something.
Boom.
I thought it would be fun. You and I talked about it earlier.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
But who are the 3 most surprising teams in baseball
I'm
through
with
3
this.
weeks of the season? Both good or bad? We'll discuss that if it's okay with you.
Absolutely. More Gwynn and
What
Chris
about
on the
me?
other side. We don't care about that. Here's some traffic.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by Viejas Casino and Resort. Got a crash blocking the left lane on eastbound 8 right at the 805.
Hey, everybody, it's Skraby here for SD Fat Loss, and you may have heard me say just a few times
with me.
I did.
On Kool and the Gang.
Kool and the Gang.
It's the Spinners.
It's the
Okay,
Spinners,
terrific.
Right. Well, the Kool and Gang. Yeah.
Thanks for double checking, but I can do without the.
Get it right, Chris.
Get it right. Yes, you're right. We're on the air. We should never, ever make an error.
Especially talking music. Like we should definitely.
Since we're a sports talk show,
we should definitely get it right. Ladies' night for those who are wondering.
Right.
This is ladies' night. We already talked about celebrate. Get down on it. Boom, boom. Get down. That's another cool.
That is a good one.
Yeah.
But far be it from us to think that they sang "Working My Way Back to You, Babe." Apologies to the old Spinners out there. I like the Spinners too. But Michael, chill out, my friend. A nice little note to say, hey, Chris, you might have missed that one. That's fine.
That would have gone a long way.
Yeah,
right?
I don't really need to hear about it. Because if I came on the air and claimed to know everything, then you'd have a point. But I don't claim to know everything.
What?
I just
Skraby, you sound like
you sound like you sound like you used Michael as your burner account and send me that email. Is what you sound like over there.
Is that what you did, Skraby?
Thank you, Skraby.
I can't say nor deny. Nor deny.
All right, baseball's 3 weeks into the season. I gave Tony a homework assignment an hour or so ago.
Yes, you did.
And Skraby, if you want to get in on this as well. But we've got our 3 most surprising teams in baseball to this point. And it can be either surprisingly good or surprisingly not so good. So I'm curious. I don't know if the Padres rank quite, into the top 3. I don't know that I expected them to be 11 and 10, but it's about where I thought they'd be. So I wouldn't consider them to be surprising. But who do we consider to be surprising? Tony, you want to start? Who's your third most surprising?
The Houston Astros will go down as number 3 on my
6
list.
And 14.
Bad side.
How about that?
Bad side. I do a radio hit with those guys in Houston.
Right.
Ron and Clint Sterner.
Is panic setting in yet?
Clint Sterner used to play. Am I
He used
right?
to play football.
Okay, excuse me, Michael. Just in case I'm wrong, he's a football player.
Yes.
Thank you.
Arkansas.
Yes, I don't want to get another email.
And I brought it up to him today before I came on. I asked him, "Are you guys missing Dusty a little bit right about now?" Because there was a lot of groaning about Dusty and his way of going about
they seemed
things.
to want to get him out of town.
They did. They basically, without him saying it, they basically ran him out of town. They made it so that he didn't want to come back, basically.
Right.
And now they're 6 and 13. They got a bunch of different problems. They're back into their bullpen. Hader and Presley are struggling. Now, Hader pitched well yesterday. I think he struck out the side, but ERA is high, hasn't pitched to his ability yet. Presley's struggling. The offense, not quite looking like it's looked in the past. So this is a team that has gone to the close. I think in most years they've gotten to the ALCS.
I think it's 6 years in a row.
6 years in a row.
And Michael will correct me if I'm wrong. Sorry, Michael, but I'm just going to
get worn out the rest of the time.
You're going to get worn out now.
We're very good.
You picked the fight, and now you're gonna get it.
I saw someone a couple weeks ago when we talked about this. They said you guys are really good at taking criticism, and I said just catch us on the right moment, and you will get us going. Because
find out.
There was one comment.
It better be good criticism.
There's one comment that I could just put slide off my back, and the other comments it's like basically the same. I'll be like, "Rah! Let's go!"
It's like a dog with a bone. You're letting it go. Houston will be number 3 on my list.
No, very good. My crazy number 3 is. Oh, go ahead, Skraby. Sorry, I'm jumping on you. Do you have one?
Well, thanks for jumping on me. It just cracked my back.
You're welcome. Who's your third most surprising?
I would have to say. So I didn't understand the
question.
Well, their record surprises. You look at it and you go,
3
"Wow,
bad,
I'm
3
surprised."
good, or
either or.
Mix.
Either 3 bad or good, 3
Okay.
bad, 3 good. However you want to do it.
I am going to say that gosh dang it, today is not my day, guys. Today is absolutely not my day. I had my team
today, Junior.
I know, Tony. Thank you. Oh, here's my team.
There you go.
On the good side, Kansas City Royals. They've been crushing teams lately. They're 12 and 7. Bobby Witt is cruising. Michael Walker's looking good. Seth Lugo is looking great.
That surprise to you?
No, that's not surprising me at all. But the team itself being 12-7 and scoring so many runs and having a plus 40 run differential is surprising.
They have the best run differential in baseball.
Very good.
By the way, the Royals do.
I set Chris up for that.
You did. You did. That was good.
Thank you.
That was real good.
My third most surprising team, Oakland Athletics. They're 8-11. Sorry, but I thought they'd be 0-19 right now. So the fact that they've won 8 games surprises me some. They just took 2 out of 3 from the Cardinals. I think prior to that, they won a series. I mean, whatever Mark Kotsay can win there in Oakland is going to be a thumbs up, especially under the circumstances they're playing in.
Yeah.
Like 12 people in the stands rooting for them. And don't look now, but Paul Blackburn, who gave up a couple runs yesterday, has turned into one of the better starting pitchers in the league. I think he went the first 23 innings of the season without allowing a run. So Oakland has a little something right there. And that shocks me because I didn't think they'd win anything. All right, who's your second most surprising, Tony?
I'm going to stick in that same division. I'm going to say the Anaheim Angels.
Yeah, okay, a little surprising good.
A little Ron Washington love can go a long way.
Ron, yeah.
Also, a healthy Mike Trout can go a very, very long way.
2 stolen bases for Trout today. He's got 5 steals, and he only had 6 the previous 4 or 5 years.
I love the.
So he's running again.
Here's why I love Ron Washington and what they're doing over there. Mike Trout made the comment about wanting to steal 40 bags, getting back up there. And then he literally had folks in the media like, why would you do that? You're going to get hurt. And then they went to Ron and it's like, are you going to get him to kind of tamper his expectations down? He was like, absolutely not. He is out there trying to win ball games.
Yeah.
Who was it? There was Joe Adele. I don't know if you guys saw this. It was last week or so. Stealing a base late in the game, has the base stolen, doesn't slide, overruns it.
Oh boy,
gets tagged out. Now, Ron Washington's big on infield, he's big on base running. After the game, where you see a lot of managers maybe try to shield his player, he basically said, I'm embarrassed that it happened. That kind of thing won't happen on this ball club again. And it just kind of shows you that there's kind of a changing in attitude in terms of how they're going to play the game. Regardless of what their record turns out to be, they are clearly making an intentional move to try to change that. He is making an intentional move. I like what I've seen from the Angels. They're only 9-10, by the way, which is good enough to be 1.5 games out of first place right now in the National League.
Accountability is a good thing for managers to hold on players, I think. And I'm surprised every manager doesn't put that near the top of their list of requirements. Be accountable. And Mike Trout, for all the times that I've, said, how would they consider this guy the best player ever? Well, there he is, 8 home runs already, leading baseball. He's got 5 steals. He is good.
He is.
Yeah. All right, who you got, Skrabe?
My second one is actually the Los Angeles Dodgers.
Surprised that they're down record.
Yes, I think it's pretty surprising because MLB tried to tell me that they were going 162-0 this year, and that's not going to happen. They are 12-9. They've in their last 10 games, they're 4-6. They're only plus 12 on their run differential. The runs, the pitching for them this year has not been their strongest forte.
Not yet.
But
until they get...
as of right now, I'm surprised with their start because I honestly thought maybe 3 or 4 games they would have lost at this point.
Yeah, don't put it past them. They could still finish 153-9.
Okay.
They get hot.
According to baseball, yes.
Yeah. But they do have some injuries on the staff. I mean, you got Buehler, Kershaw, Dustin May, Miller,
Tony Gonsolin.
I mean, that's a whole starting 5 right there.
And that's not even Gratterall, who isn't pitching.
Gratterall's not out of the bullpen yet. So look out. But yeah, you're right. I think that's a good call, Skrabe. I'll go with the Guardians. They're tied with the most wins in baseball, 13. That's a little surprising. I mean, I think with Terry Francona leaving, I think people thought the Guardians were kind of due for a little rebuild there. What's been most impressive about them is that they've played 13 of their first 19 games on the road, and they're 10-3 away from home. So they've done a nice job so far. They're leading the mild AL Central, but 13-6, pretty good. And don't look now, But our old friend Josh Naylor, 4 home runs, 13 RBIs, hitting .323.
He's pretty good.
Yeah, but you know what? We can all rue the fact that he's gone. But when he's here, everybody, you all wanted him out of here. Right, Tony?
Yeah,
don't change the narrative.
1,000%.
Don't change the narrative out there. Josh Naylor can't get the job done. Let's move on from this guy.
Wouldn't mind getting him back, though.
Wouldn't mind having him now. It's pretty good. All right, Tony, your third surprise.
Going back and forth on this one.
All right.
Do I want to go with my old team and their start, or do I want to go with a little more obvious choice? That's going to irritate some people. I think I'm going to go with the latter.
Okay. Go with the obvious irritation choice.
You said that with so much happiness in your voice.
I'm going to say the Yankees.
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
That's just listen,
they're doing better than everybody
I didn't think they would.
expected.
I did not
I
think
agree.
they would be at the top of the standings at any point this year. I really did. But they are. And, they haven't, like a lot of teams so far, it seems like this year, haven't played a ton of games at home. I think they've played 6 games at home. The rest of them have been on the road.
Right.
And they're doing it without Garrett Cole at the top of that rotation.
They're also doing it without Aaron Judge really doing anything. He's
Aaron
hitting
Judge is
183
struggling
right now.
What was my man used to play with the Rockies that's hurt for them right now?
Oh, LeMahieu?
LeMahieu.
Yeah,
He's not
been there.
playing yet.
Right.
Yet they are at the top of that tough division. Everybody in that division right now is 500 or better.
The guy who seemingly got it going along with Soto, and I don't want to leave them out when it's obvious that he's helping, them accomplish what they're doing. But Anthony Volpe,
yes,
this young shortstop
Turned
who
it
everybody
around.
said was going to be great. Last year was pretty bad.
Yeah,
Not this year. 324, 6 stolen bases, couple of homers. He's turned things around quite a bit. Has a 424 on base. So he's doing a nice job also.
Yes.
Good surprise, Tony. The Yankees. All right.
Thank you,
Skrabe, who do you got?
In the interest of time, I'll keep it short, but I'm going to say the Twins are surprisingly bad because they were a playoff team last year. They won their first round last year, and they still have Carlos Correa, even though he's hurt. They still got some guys. I'm not sure why they're 6-11, but they are. They're 3-7 in their last 10.
Defending division champions. I'm going to go finish up with the Marlins here. I didn't expect them to have a great season because they won so many one-run games last year. It was bound to even out. But for them to be 4-15 and what did they start? 0-10, 0-11? I didn't expect quite that bad of a start for the Marlins. They have too much talent to keep going along like this. I look at the Rockies at 4-15 and the White Sox at 3-15. I think those two teams can keep going on that bad. I don't expect the Marlins to. So there you have it.
Word up.
Early season surprises. When we return, it's no surprise because it's time for today's Big Five. Skinny Crisello here for SD Fat Loss, 37 pounds later, feeling great, looking great, enjoying all the compliments I still get today. Did the diet last summer and been keeping the weight off thanks to SD Fat Loss's great maintenance program. And you know all of this, but now knowing me can get you $200 off the program. That's right. For a limited time, call in to 858-665-3211. Find out about SD Fat Loss and mention my name. You'll get $200 off the program just like that. 858-665-3211. The name Chris Ello. It's worth $200. And you can also get a free private weight loss consultation. Find out the secret to losing up to a pound of fat every day, naturally, safely, and effectively. No prepackaged meals, no exercise, no counting calories. SD Fat Loss, it works. It worked for me. It will work for you. $200 off just by mentioning the name Chris Ello. Call him now, 858-665-3211, online at sdfatloss.com.
And we got to go because we don't have time for a carryover today because you, my good listeners, will get a chance to hear that roundtable in case you missed it. So let's get some traffic and then we'll get to this Big Five pronto.
From the 97.3 The Fan Traffic Center, here's Kelly Danick.
Traffic is sponsored by California Coast Credit Union. Crash is cleared on southbound 163 just past Friars Road, so we are seeing an improvement in speeds there. Now, southbound side of the 805 just before Balboa, there is a stalled car in the fast lane. The Cordell and Cordell traffic cam sees a new accident now, southbound side of the 5, right past SeaWorld Drive. Got a couple of vehicles involved in this one. They're over to the right shoulder. With MasterCard Local, CalCoast Credit Union members can earn 5% cash back on purchases made with CalCoast MasterCard credit and debit cards every time they shop at participating businesses. Learn more at calcoastcu.org/shop-local. I'm Kelly Danick with Gwynn and Chris, San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
It's that time of the show when we check on the latest in sports. Only the most important topics and questions are brought to light.
Stop what you're doing and listen.
These news stories will astound and amaze you. The one, the only.
Oh my God, who the hell cares?
The Big Five starts now on 97.3 The Fan.
All right, like Tony said, we got no time to waste. That's the phrase I was looking for, so let's get into it.
Number 5.
ESPN's broadcast of the Padres-Dodgers Sunday Night Baseball game this past Sunday hit a multi-year viewership milestone for the network. The game averaged 1.961 million viewers, the most-watched Sunday Night Baseball game that was not involving either the Yankees or the Red Sox since 2018. So, Tony, why do you think so many viewers tuned in for this one?
Because it was a good game and two teams
that since 2018?
Dogwood. Yes.
Okay.
Since 2018, what? That they hadn't had that many viewers?
Yeah, that are not Yankees and Red Sox.
Yeah, I mean, Dodgers and Padres, I would say since 2020, kind of have only picked up momentum, those two teams. Now, prior to this series, it hadn't lived up to the hype that, I think many people had believed, but that series certainly did. And I think it's a good thing for Major League Baseball because, quite frankly, both the Yankees and the Red Sox aren't good at the same time. In order for that to work and for it not to be a long, drawn-out game that you fall asleep watching, both teams got to be good. They got to be exciting to actually want to tune in and watch a baseball game. You know, the other thing I think that helps is the pitch clock. Those games it's tough for a 4-hour game now with the pitch clock. You really got to be trying or get to extra innings in order for that to happen. I think that helps. I think that all helps.
Adam Paul on the chat says because people want to see people want to see Ohtani. That's what I was trying to say.
I
don't think it's solely the fact, but it is definitely something
it definitely helps that you have Tatis, Machado, Bogarts, Darvish, Musgrove, and on the other side, you got Ohtani, Betts, Freeman. Like those are some pretty large names.
Yes, very large names. Chris, what do you think? Why do you think so many people watch this one?
I think they watched it because of all the things Tony said. They certainly didn't watch it in order to get informative play-by-play commentary from Carl Ravitch, who seems like he's never seen the Padres play every time he announces one of their games. Sorry, I just wanted to get that in.
Is okay? Because I see those comments often.
Yeah,
and sometimes I wonder how true it is, because the truth of the matter is, if it ain't, let's say it's not the Padres, Dodgers, let's say it's Brewers, Cardinals. Those fans typically say the same thing.
I think the Padre fans feel some type of way whenever they play the Dodgers on the national game, because more of the focus of the broadcast is on the Dodgers. That's all.
But I do agree that Carl Ravitch does not have time for the Padres.
Does he sound annoyed?
He just – I've never felt like he was – bad thing to say. I never felt like he was really into the game. Like he's just kind of there. Like he's not like – enjoying the game,
watching
not my
the
favorite,
game,
interacting in the game.
Guy, Tony. It's not my favorite.
Got you.
So you answered, Chris?
I think Eduardo and Cone, I think they put a lot of time and effort into it. Read a whole bunch of stuff, go online, dig to try to come up with some Padre stuff. I don't feel like Ravitch puts that effort in. I don't know.
Okay.
Number 4.
MLB.com released their second hitter rankings through the first couple weeks of the season, and they have, this is the list from 1 to 5. Mookie Betts, Juan Soto, Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, and Bobby Witt Jr. round out the top 5. Chris, you have one at-bat to win the World Series, and not just out of those guys. Who are you taking the at-bat, or who are you trying? I am having a terrible day, everybody. Who are you picking to have that at bat in the World Series?
Anthony Keith Gwynn.
Active, sorry. Gotta put another qualifier in this.
Huh?
Qualifier.
Active player.
Active, yes.
Oh, because that's who I would take.
Great call.
Let's see.
If I might say myself.
Yeah, well, yeah. Best hitter in baseball right now. Seems like it. I'm off the top of my head here. I'll go Mookie Betts. He seems to be dominating every category at the moment. I'll go.
I think I know where Tony's going.
What were the options? Or
it could be anyone.
Anybody?
Hey, he's got the smile on his face because I know where he's going. Know exactly where he's going.
It's hard for me to pick against Mookie after watching him those 3 games. Like that dude is. I think he might win the batting title in the National League. Like that's how dialed in he is right now. But I'm gonna say Mr. Soto.
That's where I thought he was going.
I mean,
you can't argue with it.
If the bases are loaded, he's your guy.
He'll walk in and run.
He can force in the winning run.
Both of those guys have done it on like the biggest stage. Juan did it against Houston. Mookie's done it several times at this point as a Red Sox and as a Dodger. So,
yeah.
Can't go wrong with either of those two.
Can't hate on you for that one.
No, you can't. I know you want to, but you can't.
I do.
Number 3.
Los Angeles Clippers fans, this is actually kind of cool, but they're going to have an opportunity for a first come, first served seat with a season ticket package in the team's new arena next season. The seats are going to be in The Wall, it's called, a fan section at the Intuit Dome. And the Ultimate Wall Pass is priced at $1,299 before fees and taxes. So with 41 home games, it works out to approximately $32 per game. And the Clippers point out that's approximately half the price of a regular season ticket. And the Ultimate Wall Pass buyers will have seats assigned when they arrive to the arena. So you get there, Depending on how early you show up, fans can sit as close as row 3 in the section, or they can sit as far away as row 51 in the section.
How much does this ticket cost you?
Overall, without taxes and fees, $1,299 for 41 games.
Oh,
it's half the season. You're getting season tickets. So all you have to do is just show up before everybody else every game, and you will get a front row seat for the same price.
That's no easy task in Los Angeles.
It's not.
You leaving it like
you better not have a job, and in which case you're not going to be able to afford the $1,200.
Tony, do you like this idea? First come,
first serve.
Can I cancel my show tonight, please?
Fortunately, we know what you're going to say, even when you don't say.
Can
it.
I just cancel the Skraby show
you
tonight?
Can't cancel it, buddy.
No,
okay.
Skrabinators need you.
All right. Do you like the idea of first come, first serve seating?
I kind of like the Southwest look of this right here. I'm not gonna lie.
Southwest look.
If given the right job and the right, you can get out in time, and so you can guarantee yourself a great view, a great seat. I think it might be worth it. I don't give the Clippers very much love for anything, but I will say they are being very creative with this whole new arena they're putting together. It's kind of exciting,
and it's got an incredible amount of toilets, which I can't wait to use.
Can I tell you how? I think that might be the biggest attraction.
The toilets?
It's not the toilets because you got, but when it's time to go to the bathroom at one of those games and you don't have to wait forever to use it, guess what that means you'll be doing?
Seeing more of the game,
spending more money.
The hit of the suite at Skrabinator night was the private bathroom that the suite has.
Oh, I see.
Because that is awesome.
Because, hey, it's probably as cleanest bathroom they've ever been in.
I walked in and I was like, can I take a nap in here or something? Right. Chris, do you like this first come, first serve seating?
I do. When I was younger, I went to Angel games when it was just Anaheim Stadium, and they used to have the $2.50 view section, which was anything above the press box. And that means anything upstairs was $2.50 from right behind home plate to all the way down the deep right field foul line. Just mattered how early you got there. I thought it was a great thing, and it let a lot of people like me have really good seats to a lot of games. I will say this, though, if you're going to pay $1,200 for a season ticket, you have the right to expect Kawhi Leonard to make every single shot he takes.
And play every game.
That's right. That's a shot at all you people who want Xander Bogaerts to go 100 for his next 100.
Okay.
I love it.
Number 2.
All right, we just got into this in the break, so I'm just going to ask it. Chris, you're up first. I saw this reporter putting out a trade for the Padres and the White Sox, and it was Luis Robert Jr. for Ethan Salas straight up, 1-for-1. Chris, do you make that trade?
Is this a Padre person putting this out?
No, I don't remember who the reporter was, but they were just throwing out crazy trade ideas. I think it was on Bleacher Report.
Yeah, it's a crazy trade idea, all right. I don't think the White Sox would do that.
You don't think the White Sox would do that?
No. Luis Robert's an MVP type of player.
Ethan Salas is on his way up. He's a young
17.
player. You could build around a guy like that.
And
oh, yeah?
The Padres could put Luis Robert in center field for 5 years, move Jackson Merrill to left field, and win the pennant. Luis Robert could win the MVP award in either league if he stays healthy. 38 home runs last year. This guy's a monster. Ethan Salas is a prospect only. You can't get anywhere just holding on to prospects.
No, you can't.
Shoot, the Padres aren't in the spot that they're in by just holding on to prospects. They have moved prospects often. I'll just say this, and let's take a historic look at it.
Okay.
Can you name? I'll ask Chris because Chris is probably
the human almanac.
The human almanac. Chris, how many catchers in the history of the game have you been able to build around?
Johnny Bench,
Buster Posey.
Okay, I'll give you that.
Mike Piazza.
I'll give you that.
Pudge. I'm naming the best of the best.
You're naming
of
Hall
the
of Famers, by the way.
Yes, I know.
Yeah.
I
love what Ethan Salas might do, but I already love what Luis Robert does.
So I shouldn't have been so crazy.
It's
No,
not.
I think it's a crazy trade.
Yeah.
I don't think the White Sox would ever do it for just that.
By the
No
way,
way.
the White Sox definitely ain't doing it. They've already handed over Fernando Tatis Jr.
Yes, they're not giving us another one.
They're not about to do that again.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't think about it like that. They can't have two little notes on the screen.
They can't trade them to San
potential
Diego
superstars.
and in turn watch both of the dudes turn even better than they were when they left.
I guess I wasn't thinking about this in the right mind frame.
Listen, I think Ethan has a ton of talent. He's going to be really good. But if you're talking right now, right? Because how long is it before Ethan gets to the big league? Like realistically,
2-3 years, 3 years.
Let's just do it on the short side. Let's say 2 years.
That means you'd get 2 free years of Luis Robert. That's a pretty big advantage.
I'll take it. I mean, they gave away Dylan Cease. I guess they didn't give away Dylan Cease. They got a lot in return. Anyway, all right, let's go to the last one. And I tweeted this out last night. I don't know if you guys do this, and I'm not saying I do it all the time, but here's my tweet. Does anyone tempt fate like me from time to time and see how far they can go without getting gas in their car? I've only ran out of gas once, and it wasn't because I was tempting fate. Ben Higgins replied, saying, I definitely push it, but I'm good about estimating distances, and I think my electronic gauge is pretty accurate. Yeah. I've been 10 miles or less remaining many times without running out of gas. Saves time with fewer fill-ups. So my question to you guys, and I don't care who goes first, have you guys ever done this? You ever tried to see how close you can get to empty in your car?
Funny story. I have an old school Impala, a 95 Impala. And what I found out is the way they built those tanks, when you get low on gas and let's say you got to go up a hill, the gas tank won't get the gas.
Yes,
that's right.
True.
I didn't know this until one day I was going up a big hill in
gravity
in Scripps Poway, and it was putt-putting up there, and I was scared. So to answer your question, yes, I do this too much.
Oh, okay.
I do it too much, and I need to be better at. I'm not as good at getting the mileage right.
Okay.
That's partly because I'm probably switching between gas and electric at times.
That's true.
But yeah, no, I need to stop doing this. There's nothing worse than thinking your car is about to run out of gas in a spot where you shouldn't be running out of gas at.
Yeah, I've been pretty good about it. Chris, have you ever tried? Chris is the guy who probably fills it up when it's at 3/4 of a tank. Let's be honest here.
That's stupid to say.
Okay, come on. You know that would be you.
That's stupid.
Totally not me. But my car just, whatever made me, a lot of cars do, but it counts down by the mile, how many miles I have left. So it's really obvious when I'm down to 35, 40 miles that, I'll go get gas the next morning.
The zero doesn't mean it's actually zero. You got like another couple
I have one thing for your Impala, though, Tony. If it ever runs out of gas, get out of the car, hold the roof, and shake the car back and forth.
And the gas will get there.
It might squeeze enough gas through to get it started and get you to the gas station. It worked for me way back in the day.
Good.
That's a good little info right
Keep
there.
it in mind.
All right. We have Jerks and Profar scheduled for Friday tomorrow.
Can't wait.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Or relevant, depending on how
Quite
you look
relevant
at it.
tomorrow.
Yes, of course. I know.
I think
we're wrapping up. Me? All right.
Nope, it's me.
It's you? Okay.
Yep. Get to break. That round table comes up next. More Gwynn and Chris.
Another example of the best businesses in the world, turning to the best in the business for websites. Go to AmericanEagle.com or call 877-WEB-NOW1. That's 877-WEB-NOW1.
For breaking Padres news and reaction as soon as it happens.
Breaking news out of baseball where the Padres are finalizing a blockbuster trade.
Follow San Diego's #1 sports station on X at 97.3 The Fan ST. KWFN and KWFN HD1 San Diego.
This is Xander Bogaerts. The Padres play here on San Diego's #1 sports station, 97.3 The Fan.
And the Padres in front.
Always live on the free Odyssey app. It's that time, Friar Faithful. Time to discuss everything going on with the Padres. We've gathered the entire 97.3 The Fan crew together to bring you the most in-depth discussion on the Friars in our weekly Padres Roundtable, presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. Alongside Stephen Woods, Annie and Elston, and Gwynn and Chris, here's your host, Ben Higgins.
And welcome once again to a brand new setting. We are live from our Odyssey Studios soundstage. It is our 97.3 The Fan Padres Roundtable presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. I feel like I am moderating some sort of presidential debate. We have all the candidates lined up. It's the primary season here. At the end, hopefully you'll know who you're voting for. But actually, along next to me, I've got my co-host, Stephen Woods.
Good morning.
We have Tony Gwynn Jr., who is
everyone.
enjoying his roundtable pizza early this morning. Craig Elston.
Somebody enjoyed it. That's good.
We've got Annie Heilbrunn.
Hello, Ben.
And we have Chris Ello, a good full house.
Cheers.
Good morning to everyone. Let's just start with the week that was for the San Diego Padres. I know they're coming off the most recent game, a tough 1-0 loss to the Milwaukee Brewers, but you can't really say that this was anything but the best week of the season so far for the San Diego Padres.
Oh, no.
There goes my roundtable pizza going down a little bit.
That's why I don't eat it before. This is literally why I don't eat it before the show.
Smart, Craig. Well, I was hungry after the end of our show.
Trying to promote the advertiser.
Absolutely.
Very good. In
Delicious.
the best light possible.
I appreciate the animal training they're doing with us. Here's the pizza. It's right in front of you.
It's right in front of you.
You can't eat it. It's going to be there. It's like when you set the meal down for the dog, but you make him get it.
All right. Chris, what did we see from the San Diego Padres this last week against the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Milwaukee Brewers? The biggest takeaway for you from the past 6 games?
Obviously, the ability to get behind and come from behind and win ball games. I think that's something that stays with the team throughout the course of a season. I think they've rallied from 3 runs down to win 4 games, if I'm not mistaken, already this year. They've had come from behind wins in half their wins. So I think that's a good start. I saw a stat yesterday on the telecast that they lead Major League Baseball in productive outs, however it is you want to measure those. I don't know how analytic that is, but it tells me that they're doing a lot of good things, and they're doing a lot of things that Tony's been telling me they've been working on, since Peoria, which is, getting into the batter's box with an idea of what you want to do to try and help this team win a ball game and find a way to, put things together. I mean, I know on paper coming into this season, a lot of people thought with the loss of, Juan Soto mostly, but no way this lineup is going to be anywhere near as good as it was last year. But collectively, this team is showing me that it's better than the sum of its parts. And I think that's a great sign.
And Annie, how significant is it to go on the road against 2 teams that have been perennial playoff teams the last few years and expect to be there at the end of the season again, the Dodgers and the Brewers? By the way, 2 places where the Padres have historically played really poorly in recent years, and to take series victories in both stadiums.
I think it's very significant. I think you look at this road trip and you think good things. 4-2 is a good record to come home with after a road trip where you went through a hostile environment, where you took 2 out of 3 from the Dodgers, where you could have kind of folded after that Dodgers series. We see it a lot of times with kind of a hangover after you play the Dodgers a little bit. But despite the tough travel and getting in at 5 a.m. on Monday to Milwaukee, they went out there, they got 2 wins. I know yesterday was frustrating. You never want to leave a player on third twice and not be able to bring him home. At the same time, part of me thinks like they kind of ran out of gas a little bit. Sometimes that travel can catch up to you day 2 or day 3. And I think overall, they had a good road trip.
Craig, are we beyond statements for the San Diego Padres, or were they statements made this week by the team?
It's funny. I thought Chris did a good job talking about, we all agree, the big comeback wins are critical. The game that stood out to me the very most from this road trip was Tuesday, because Tuesday is what I would like to call a common dub. They took the lead early. They took advantage of mistakes by the other team, put the runs on the board that were given to them along the way, held that lead, tacked onto it a little bit, and it was a mostly low-stress afternoon and evening for the San Diego Padres. It's great to come back from 8-0 down. It's great to come back from 7-3 down at Dodger Stadium. And if that's your formula to win for the season, you're going to be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
You can't do that all the time. Those are the games you pull out of the fire. You need common dubs in order to stack wins as a franchise. And I want to see a lot more of what we saw on Tuesday.
Common wisdom, Tony, is that, win your games at home, win your series at home, kind of split on the road. You're going to have a good year. But how important is it from a former player's perspective to go on the road, especially early in the season, to come together and show off a good road trip like the Padres had?
I think it depends on, your circumstances at the moment, how the storyline has developed prior. Obviously, the Padres they've been getting their butts whooped in Los Angeles for quite some time. And so I think at some point as a player, I'm certainly of the thought that, you try to win every game, this, that, and the other. But when you've gone into a building, especially a building that you're familiar with and you've gotten your butt kicked a few times, there's a part of you that's like, all right, enough is enough. And that's kind of what it felt like in that series against the Dodgers. And then they took care of business against Milwaukee. I would say that not a whole lot has changed outside of the bullpen being consistent. I thought the Padres, even prior to those 2 road series, were doing a lot of good things offensively. I really do. I thought outside of the one bad inning for Darvish, the one bad inning for Musgrove, starting pitching has been pretty good. I think it just all kind of came together on this road trip. So for the Padres, it's just about continuing to lay the foundation, continuing to establish that identity, which is starting to become, we just are going to play 9 innings. We're going to play 9 innings of baseball. Whatever the score is, but we're going to play the game right.
We've seen in the past, Woods, where the Dodger series have been so important, at least to the fans at least, and who knows inside the organization. But even when they've done well, there was a sweep a couple of years ago, and then it feels like, okay, then there's a hangover that comes after that, and they're not able to follow it up. Seeing them then go to Milwaukee after having to take on the Dodgers for 3 games and not slipping and, just letting those games get away, I thought was important as well.
Yeah, I mean, I loved that. I loved so much that series in Los Angeles. And, of course, Friday night's game was epic. I mean, it was just so much fun to watch and be a part of. And like Tony said, flipping the script a little bit. And they were shell-shocked. They were. I mean, and if you're on Twitter, like as much as I was during that series, you see their fans relax. They've done this to the Padres so many times, up 4 runs. There's no way we're giving this game away. And I will be 100% honest with you. I was not feeling good about the Milwaukee series because of that high that they got. And to go in and get those first 2, I thought was just massive. Yeah, I wanted that one yesterday, certainly. And I know those guys did too. And you do feel like that one slipped through their fingers a little bit because but again, you can't complain about 4-2 on a road trip. You can never complain about that.
Welcome into our 97.3 The Padres Roundtable, presented by Roundtable Pizza. For the first time this year, though, the Padres are having to deal with a significant injury. And hopefully it's not a long-term injury to Yu Darvish, but at the very least, the Padres are going to need to find a way to fill the next 2 or 3 spots in turns through his starting rotation. So, Craig, I'll start with you. They called up the much heralded Logan Gillespie to fill Yu's spot on the roster for now, but I don't think he's the solution.
They named an airport after this guy in El Cajon. Come on.
They did. Gillespie Field, right?
Gillespie Field. Yeah.
We spent so much time this spring talking about the impact he was going to have on the San Diego Padres this year. I don't remember him at all. What do you think the Padres need to do, starting with Yu's first turn through the rotation? Is it bullpen days? Is it one of the minor league prospects coming up? What is your solution for the next couple of weeks with Yu Darvish on the IL?
Well, I'm scratching bullpen day off the list because this team goes to Colorado for a 4-game series right after. So if you pull your bullpen stamina down to 0 before you start a series in Colorado, you're just asking yourself for big-time trouble. I would absolutely call someone up to start on Saturday. Looking around, in Double-A, Ryan Bergert would be on turn on Saturday. He's off to a great start. They would have to add him to the 40-man, but the whole thought process behind this offseason was to have young arms that are building behind the roster that you have, that have the opportunity to come up and spot start and not be kind of a disaster class, call-up guy. And I feel like Bergert would be a good choice. Vasquez is supposed to start Friday in El Paso, so they could call him up and give him an extra day's rest and let him go on Saturday. One of those 2 guys, I think, would be a good call.
Tony, we see a lot of teams go with bullpen days. It's not uncommon, even from when you played. There's many more bullpen games than there used to be. The Padres have this deep bullpen. Do you feel like, Craig, that they need to bring a starter up, or are you okay going with the guys that they have in there right now?
Yeah, no, they'll probably have to bring a starter up, and I highly doubt it'll be somebody who's not on the 40-man, because that means you now have to designate somebody, and the Padres like the guys that they have, and I'm pretty sure they don't want to lose anybody, so that does make a guy like Vasquez a good, chance. There's a good chance that it could be a guy like that. I don't think this team is built, honestly, to have bullpen days, even with the depth that they have, right? There's a skill that, you need certain players to have, whether it's an opener, he has to be able to come in and have the kind of stuff that can fill that spot. And then, or you got to have the right circumstances. You mentioned Colorado, 4-game set. It just doesn't make a ton of sense to do a bullpen day when you know that you can't predict anything that happens when you go to Coors Field. So, I think it'll be one of the guys that they already have on the roster. I don't know who that'll be, but listen, this is what good teams do. When somebody goes down, somebody's got to step up, and it goes the same with Crony being down for however long he's down. Somebody just got to step up. That's what good teams do.
Annie, I think it's interesting. The Milwaukee Brewers went with a bullpen day essentially against the Padres, eschewing one of their best pitchers in Freddie Peralta, who was on regular rest, who could have gone. They thought it was so important, though, getting that extra rest for their pitchers early in the season that, they weren't saying, hey, we're willing to lose this game just for it. In fact, they didn't. It worked out well for them going with the bullpen day, and they get the extra rest for their starter as well. We've seen the Padres do that in past seasons under Bob Melvin and even Jay Stingler before that, the 6-man rotation, the extra rest. Not seeing it as much this year. Do you think that's a function of the lack of depth, and where are they heading here with Yu Darvish on the injured list?
I do. I think that's not the type of team that they have this year. That's not the type of rotation that they have. And I was just checking my phone to make sure, but they're going into a stint now where they've got 13 games in
Yeah.
13 days. And the Padres to this point have only had 7 in a row. I mean, give them credit for the travel to Korea and coming back and everything that they've had to overcome so far. But this is going to be a no breaks here. So I think that that's going to have to be something that's taken into consideration with whatever moves they make as well.
Chris, your thoughts on Yu's replacement here in the bullpen?
What everybody else said. I just think that they need to find a different designation than sore neck for Yu Darvish. It sounds to me like he could stand under a warm shower and go out and pitch. I know that that's not true. I'm sure he's much more injured than they're saying he is, because I know Yu Darvish is a tough dude. I just wish there's some other designation we could give him. Like Tony said, somebody's going to have to step up, whoever it is. If it's Vasquez, I mean, this is the guy they brought in, part of this trade with the Yankees. I wouldn't mind seeing what he has early in the season.
Chris brings up the unsaid things that I was probably thinking as well, Woods. You didn't pitch poorly against the Dodgers. They won that game. He said he was dealing with the sore neck in his last outing. Yeah. And yet, 2 weeks, this is going to impact the Padres early in the season, no doubt about it.
Yeah, 13 games in 13 days, and you count those Colorado games as like extra. It's more like 17 games in 13 days. Now I know Ben was reading off the stat. He's not worried. I'm worried. I've watched this team in Colorado. We all have the last few years. They're not good, which makes it even. I'm more nervous about these games than I am about the Dodger series, because you lose those, you're like, you spent $1 billion. You're supposed to whip our ass all over the field, but those Colorado games, weird things happen. You don't want this thing to spiral out of control with an injury. If you call up a pitcher to come in and throw on Saturday, what if he makes it an inning in the third? You're doing a bullpen. It's just there's so much that can go wrong in the course of a baseball season. I'm going to continue to preach treading water. Treading, and the stepping up is great. Matthew Batten stepped up yesterday. I really wanted that to be his day with the defensive play he made, the triple, and just wasn't in the cards. But weird stuff happens in Colorado, and you never have enough arms, I feel like, to get through those series.
Now, don't blame me. I was listening to Chris talk about how bad the Rockies were and how a 4-game winning streak is on the way. So
have they not proven how bad they are?
They have, but how many times have they seemed like they were a bad team?
True.
The Padres go into Coors Field.
You guys have the worst PTSD I've ever
100%.
That's it. In my life.
That's it.
Oh my God.
It's true.
We were talking about on our show how fans will sit all day after a loss like the 1-0 loss to the Brewers, and we will stew and steam. And when we talked to Jesse earlier this week, he said, maybe like twice in my life have I even noticed on like the plane flight
that guys were sad.
The guys are sad or happy after a win. The players, Tony, they flush it so much faster than we do as fans.
You have to, as a player, you have to. You will get eaten alive and buried.
Did it eat you alive ever when you were a young player and you took an 0 for 4, 3 Ks or something?
And that's why I sucked for a long time, because it would carry over into the next day.
Yeah.
It wasn't until I started learning that I give myself an hour at most to stew on it before I started realizing, man, this is actually, when I would wake up and start to feel like, man, I'm still thinking about the previous day, I knew it could be a long day at that point.
Yeah.
So you have to flush it. Now, fans are different. They don't have to flush anything.
No, we're not pros. That's what I said today. We're not professionals.
They get to keep on it. But in terms of those guys on the plate, Jesse's right. Like, whether they have swept, been swept, took in 2 out of 3, or lost 2 out of 3, you generally get the same. Now, you get to the end of the season, maybe in like a tough 3-game series that you need it, you might see some ramifications of that on a flight. But most of the time, these guys are really good at turning the page and getting ready for the next one.
Pete Fairbanks gives it 16 minutes.
16 minutes he gave it today. It was some of the best audio I've ever heard in my whole life.
That was great.
That is
every show today.
That is emblematic of how most guys did. Like, he was clearly distraught.
Oh, he was
as he
pissed.
was doing.
Yeah.
But he looked at that clock. He was like, I got 16 more minutes to be like this. I would like to stay in this for a little bit.
And if you stew on it, it starts to disrupt your next day
Yeah,
and your next
100%.
day. So it just
100%.
makes it worse.
Still worried about the pop-up I had last Wednesday night in softball.
It's mortified, right? Yeah, you got a whole week to think
we'll
about
never
it.
be pros. It's our 97.3 The Fan Padres Roundtable presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. And I got a text from our boss, Adam. Just want to make sure you're going to bring up Xander Bogaerts during. Yes, Adam. I am going to bring up.
Is he not going to run in here?
Xander Bogaerts and his struggles and his slow start and the fact that he's still batting leadoff every single day in Mike Schultz's lineup. Woods, I'll start next to you here. We talked about it a little bit on our show. Does Mike Shildt need to make some sort of change, do something when it comes to Xander Bogaerts, getting him going, moving him down in the order, giving him more days off? He got the 1 day off. Is there anything else to be done about the slow start for Xander Bogaerts?
Yeah, I think you can absolutely move him in the lineup. And, you know, it's the guy at the top of the order that's going to get the most ABs, and that's what you want right now. And Xander, scuffling is fine. I mean, I think, you know, everybody's going to scuffle. And I think Acuna just hit his first bomb yesterday, maybe. I mean, yesterday. Guys are getting off to slow starts. I don't know how he's hitting average-wise. I mean, we did Shohei's stats today. He's 1 for 19 with runners in scoring position. Shohei Ohtani, but he's also batting .340 with an OPS of over 1,000. But, you know, he's not hitting with runners in scoring position. And Xander being the guy that's going to get the most ABs, I'm absolutely fine moving him down in the order, giving him a break, taking some pressure off him, and putting the guy that wants to hit leadoff more than anybody on the team, Fernando Tatis Jr., in the leadoff spot. I know other people have other opinions on that. You're talking about a guy
he said that? He said he wants to hit more leadoff than anybody else?
Yeah, I got a text today with an article. I think it was before the season started. He wants to hit leadoff. So, I mean, we were talking to Adam Jones today on our show, and Adam Jones was like, man, I'll do it. I'll hit leadoff if you want, you know. But to have a guy that wants to go out there and hit leadoff, I think Mookie Betts is that guy too. Like, he doesn't mind hitting leadoff at all, and it's really paying dividends.
But he also said, Manny, when he was a young player, they asked him, and he goes, I don't want to hit.
I don't want to
do that.
It's not for everyone, and they're asking a lot of Xander already with the position change. And I know Xander told us at spring training last year, 2 years ago, I like hitting second. I don't really get my numbers there. So numbers aside, like, the only number we need to worry about is how many wins we have at the end of the year. I'm putting the kid that wants to hit leadoff there, and that's Fernando Tatis Jr.
I know the question that fans really think about is, like, how worried should we be about Xander Bogaerts and the fact that he's got nearly a decade in San Diego, more than a decade in San Diego coming up. And it's not really a fair question, is it, Annie? To even in the second season, to say you have to live up to $285 million in every single at-bat is never going to be fair. But it's also really impossible that he's ever going to live totally up to that contract, likely based on his age, based on his previous performance and comps. He's kind of in a no-win situation almost.
Yeah, holding his contract against him and berating him for it, I think, is the wrong approach to take here. And I look at Xander Bogaerts, and I'm going to steal your thunder right now as I listened to the Gwynn and Chris show yesterday, and Chris was talking about, go look at this guy's numbers. Go look at his numbers. Year in and year out for a veteran like Xander Bogaerts, they are good. His average, his on-base percentage, yes, sometimes his power might not be there from year to year or whatever as much as his OPS or whatnot, but his average and his on-base percentage tends to revert to above average numbers each year. And I look at that and I go, so why are we sitting here looking at Xander Bogaerts and saying, 2-3 weeks in, this guy is no good, this guy's never going to have it, this guy's old? Like, no, he's shown time and time again, year and year again, that he knows how to hit, and he's a good baseball player. And so I think you got to let him find it. It's not that easy to find. If
you have to. I mean, you don't have a choice at the end of the day. You don't. And if you could go back and redo contracts that you've done in the past or undo trades that you've made, yeah, of course you're going to do that. Every GM would have. He has his list in his mind that when he's driving to the office every day, he goes, why did I do that? Like, what didn't I see, or what did I see? And I don't know that they would have done that deal, given a chance to redo it. But, he's here. He's here for a while. You're really not getting out of it. I can't concern myself with 10 years down the road when I'm almost 60 years old. I want him to get that knock yesterday. I want him to get that fly ball in that situation that he was in, certainly. And I think that's a fair ask. But other than that, the only way for him to get out of it is to hit his way out of it. That's it. That's the only way.
Craig, Xander's not playing at Fenway Park anymore. The pulled line drives that were high off the wall for doubles are now outs a lot of the time, playing at Petco Park and in San Francisco and at Dodger Stadium. What's a successful season now look like for Xander Bogaerts going forward?
Well, I mean, that's a very interesting question. I think it's a year that so Pods Above Replacement, one of our Padres Hot Tub podcasts, did when they signed Xander Bogaerts. Did a straight statistical breakdown. Obviously, I don't have my computer in front of me, but the long and short of it was supposed to cost Xander some doubles and actually add a few homers. Because some of those balls would go out over the low fence that would have been doubles off of the green monster.
The homer he hit this year would not have been a home run at Fenway Park. Wasn't high enough.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. So I'm over that comp. I mean, I think he is a 120 WRC plus kind of player.
Break that down for the people who listening right now who might not understand that.
Absolutely. So
I'm BAPIP challenged.
So WRC plus, which breaks down to weighted runs created plus. This is a simple stat based on a grade of 100, right? So 100 is an average player in Major League Baseball, and that is similar to WAR, but purely for offense in terms of how many runs are you creating for your lineup compared to the average Major League Baseball player. So if you are a 120, that means you're 20% better than the average Major League Baseball player.
Which isn't nothing.
Well, just for example, during his current hot streak, Manny Machado, WRC plus 193, right? So he's almost twice as good as an average player during this hot streak. So that's what I expect from Xander Bogaerts. I expect for him to be a consistent hitter for this team, somebody who's getting big hits for the team. The issue right now for Xander is that, we can take everything we want about his contract, whatever.
Sure.
All of that, throw it down the river. Like, you can't do anything.
Can't do a thing about it.
About that. Right now, today, he's making the poorest quality of contact of any of the players in the lineup.
He's not chasing a bunch. Like, he's not chasing. He's not swinging and missing a lot. I don't think. If I looked at his sliders,
no, but his exit velocity is basically the lowest of his career. We'll talk more about it on our show a little bit later. But it's literally the lowest, one of the lowest of his career right now. So 2 roundtables ago and last roundtable, I said I'd like to see Kim go to the leadoff spot and Bogaerts go to 5. And that's what I'd like to resubmit to the audience. I'd like to see Kim lead off.
All right. So Ha-Sung Kim in the leadoff spot you talked about, and I tend to agree with you. The pitches seen, sees a ton of pitches, and that's a traditional metric you look for out of a leadoff hitter. He also has energy, stolen base, speed. There's a lot of things that make sense. He's right-handed. Adam Jones suggested Jurickson Profar in the leadoff spot.
I love that.
Annie likes that idea.
Or Fernando. I just think that they're chaotic. They make the pitcher get out of whack a little bit.
With Jurickson, great. He also sees a lot of pitches, gets on base via the walk. I said the fact that the Padres are a little light on left-handed hitters, he's able to break up the lineup when you put him down a little bit, and he's been so successful so far that I would say you probably have to pick among your right-handers. Chris, when Mike Schilt fills out his lineup this weekend against the Toronto Blue Jays, who would you like to see in the leadoff spot?
Xander Bogaerts.
Still.
Yeah, I don't understand why there's any concern. I really don't. Last week, and all these statistics, I'm not overlooking everything everyone said. They're all very, well thought out. But last week, we talked about on our show, why is everybody concerned about Manny Machado? And I read off his career numbers, and every single year is 30 home runs, 100 RBIs. He'll do it again this year if you just relax and let him play baseball. And I want to thank Manny because on cue, he hit a couple of quick home runs, and he had a big week, and nobody's concerned about Manny right now. I'll say the same thing about Xander Bogaerts. I will take a 2020 guy who hit 285 as my second baseman, and that's what he was last year. And I don't see any reason why he won't be that again this year. Mike Schilt wants him in leadoff spot. It's way too early, in my mind, to scrap that plan. Whatever it is that Mike Schilt saw and whatever it is that had him put Xander there, I'm fine with it. This offense is scoring as well as it has in years. I am in no hurry to make a change.
I know there are some fans who will say, well, that's not enough for a guy making as much money as Xander Bogaerts is making. But again, if you're mad about the contract, I'd say be mad at A.J. Preller, not at Xander Bogaerts. Tony,
what are you mad about? You snatched your money.
What are you mad about?
I know. I want to know your thoughts on this.
But, okay, you played with some guys who had some bigger contracts, maybe not what they're making nowadays, but bigger contracts. Did you ever see a guy put more pressure on himself because of the money that they were making? Is that a real thing that happens to baseball players?
It literally happens every year. Okay. No matter who signs, We saw it with Manny here the first year. I think we've seen it with every big signing that we've had here in the first year.
And trade,
right? And then all of a
even
sudden,
Jake before his money kicked in.
100%. Like we've seen guys, because they, contrary to what people may believe, these dudes actually really care about their jobs, how they look doing their jobs.
Yeah.
Like that's all mightily important. So yeah, I have seen guys press. I think in terms of Bogey, I mean, I pretty much heard these exact same things. I mean, all the way up until like June of last year with Xander, and then you look at the back of his baseball card, pretty much lines up. He was dropped off a little bit in RBIs, but he was hitting in a spot in the lineup where, quite frankly, no one was driving in RBIs. So I like Xander. I think we have to kind of pull back and look how the lineup functions as a whole with Xander at the top. You start moving Ha-Sung to the top. How does the lineup function? Are you still getting the same production 1 through 9? Is everybody slotted in spaces that they can be most productive? Xander may not be productive right now, but him being in that spot allows Fernando to do what he's doing. It allows Manny to kind of sit back into that 4 spot, and without Jake now, it looks a little bit different. But Prof has slid up into that 3 spot. He's looked pretty good, and so I just think the function of the lineup is working in a way right now, and I think everybody's seen it, where everybody's in a spot where they can be at their best, and that includes Jackson Merrill, who is swinging like gangbusters. A lot of it's because he's sandwiched in a spot where they got to come to him, and he's getting good pitches to hit. That changes when you start moving guys around.
Yeah. It's holistic.
We saw Pat Murphy.
Like that.
We did see Pat Murphy aggressively go to left-handers against Jackson Merrill in this series, and it worked for Pat Murphy. Now, the point was made. A lot of left-handers will see the guy coming into the bullpen in Major League Baseball. It's not just Jackson Merrill. Craig, in terms of Jackson's development, as you've seen it just over this week, do you think that's going to be an issue for him? Is he going to be one of those heavy split guys on the platoons, or do you feel like he's going to kind of even it out and is going to be a guy who hits both sides of the plate, both arms pretty well?
This is his first month in Major League Baseball. So right now, teams are just starting to get a compilation of data points on Jackson Merrill. They're just starting to get those clips that everyone has in the iPad, right, that they can pull up and take a look. So as Merrill gets up to a peak earlier this week where he hit 356 and we're in Joe DiMaggio territory, of course, every opposing team is starting to break down okay, we need to take him seriously. We need to start to impose platoon taxes on him, and I think that is natural. But to be honest with you, Ben, there's going to be another set of adjustments come May as well, which is just them breaking down this is a pitch he has a little bit of an issue with. They're going to identify things that Jackson's doing, and they're going to attack those things specifically because this is the big leagues, and as Tony knows, it's the hardest place to hit in the entire world.
As they did with Fernando Tatis Jr. when he first came up, it's that is something that every team is doing. All right, we're at the midway point of our 97.3 The Fan Padres Roundtable, presented by Roundtable Pizza, and I want to get into a subject that got a little spicy on our show after Michael King took his no-hitter into the 6th inning yesterday. The subject today for the little halftime segment is no-hitter jinxes. Oh my Lord. Tony, you were in the broadcast booth.
All right, well, this is going
Probably
to be your
Bob
fault.
Scanlon.
Was it your fault yesterday?
You've been in the booth,
was it?
and you've been in the dugout.
Yes.
Different, right?
Whole lot different. Here's what I'll say is, as a color analyst, I will defer to the play-by-play and how he wants to handle it. To me, if it's left up to me, you guys are going to know once we get past the 5th inning.
Okay.
But ultimately, it's up to him. He's the one that's kind of orchestrating the whole broadcast. So I left it up to Scans in this standpoint. And after the game, he said, usually I would have just told him because I feel like that's part of my job. But he's also a human being, and he also knows that some folks out there on Twitter
get dragged.
will try to drag him for doing it. And I'm sure that played a part in him wanting to go the direction in which he went. Personally, I think it's quite silly from our standpoint, because our job is to kind of tell you what's going on.
But you can dance around it like Scam Dickens.
What are we dancing for?
Because
we are not playing. We are not throwing a baseball. We are not in the dugout. We are not even. I could understand if the guys in the dugout were listening to the game and could hear us say something.
Can you imagine if they piped it into the dugout every game?
But outside of that,
a lot of reasons.
Outside of that, you guys are here to know what's on with the game. My job is to tell you the no-hitter is a pretty big part of what's going on at that.
Chris, you've called a lot of games, San Diego State baseball all the time. How did you handle no-hit?
On the radio, you have to tell somebody it's a no-hitter. I don't see how you cannot do that. I mean, if you were watching, on the telecast today, as soon as it got to the 6th inning, it said he has a no-hitter going.
Right.
Yeah.
And so the TV broadcaster doesn't need to say anything. But Tony's right. This is ridiculous. This is one of the dumbest things I've ever heard, honestly, because it's one thing. I'm sorry, but it's one thing if in the dugout you're staying away from the guy, not saying anything,
Right.
but to be broadcasting to people that are listening but not playing the game, how does this have any effect on Michael King whatsoever?
So I agree with you, but the reason I bring it up, and Annie, you've covered baseball players for a long time, they are a superstitious bunch in general. There's some who aren't, but honestly, most of them are kind of
90%.
superstitious. And I was talking with a colleague of mine at Channel 10 who called minor league games for the Lancaster Jethawks for years, Jeff Lasky. And they rarely had a chance at no-hitters in that ballpark. High desert, usually 15-14 by the 3rd inning in those games. But had one game where a guy's had one 6th, 7th inning, and he's on the radio, and he's like, I need to tell people about it. We've never had one in history. We've got something, it's brewing here. There's no hits, and he said it many times. They can't hear him in the dugout, but they got word of it. And he said there were several players who were very angry at him that he actually brought it up on the radio. On the radio, Annie, during the game, that they were mad about it because they were so superstitious.
That's why these guys are minor leaguers.
I was gonna be much nicer.
We are in the big
but I was
leagues.
thinking that same thing.
Okay. Yeah, if I was down there sidelining, I would not be leaning over and going, "Hey, Michael, almost there. Good job. Go for that no-hit.
You just need 9 more outs, baby.
You guys better make those plays behind him, But I wouldn't do that anyways, right? So, like for any guy in any performance. So if I was, but being in the booth, being TV, radio, I think you talk about it. I don't think you shy away from it. Scan did tweet afterwards that was the last time he would ever do a broadcast like that.
I could honestly, when we got to the point, what was it, 7th inning is when he gave
took
it up?
into the 7th, yeah.
I could feel him like questioning whether he should do or not. And in my mind, I'm like,
poor guy.
Twitter,
what are we doing?
It's all Twitter's fault.
And I don't think I have enough power. Like, I'm not sitting here like, I have power over this, and I'm gonna.
You don't want to be the
Can
person
you
that says
say,
it, though. That's
can you
all I'm
say,
saying.
Can you say, Reese Hoskins is coming up and he's hitless today, and
Yeah,
boy, by the way, so is everybody in the Brewer lineup.
There you go.
Is that a way you can get around
it's
it?
Just the term.
It's the term no-hitter.
He has a
Right.
no-hitter.
Yeah. That's it. It's not hard to dance around that. Yeah. Like be creative. Like Scam was creative.
It's not the job.
I understand.
I feel like it's less professional.
It is less professional. That is
Listen to Tony, you
that
guys.
is the whole point.
He is on point
I
this
take
time.
issue with it because
It's fun, though.
I get it's
baseball.
fun for the fans, right?
It's not the congressional hearing
Half-
on arms.
It's also up on the scoreboard for everyone in the stadium.
By
to
the way,
see.
half of the people who were probably more than half of the people were watching on TV, so they knew it anyway, and it said no hitter.
Right,
Come on.
Yeah, I think we gotta get rid
You know,
of that
listen
bug.
though. I mean, to me, this is like speaking as a play-by-play broadcaster. This is a matter of language. And by the way, I probably believe more in broadcaster spells than everybody on this stage. Like I feel like I've cast a few in my lifetime.
Of course you do.
However, this is very simple. It's a matter of language. A no-hitter is a complete event. A no-hitter is something you do. You throw a no-hitter. While you're throwing a no-hitter, you have thrown 5 hitless innings, 6 hitless innings, 7 hitless innings, and you can go through and narrate that all the way through. Michael King is not allowed to hit through 5 innings. That's a factual statement.
Sure.
It's not Michael King is throwing a no-hitter because he hasn't done it yet. He's throwing 5 hitless innings. I'll tell you, in hockey, they don't like it when you say that the goaltender is pitching a shutout. There's 5 minutes left. Oh, he's got a shutout going. He's 25.
I didn't know that.
No, and I
not like somebody, the goalkeeper, you said the thing, but like, somebody in the front office, like, hey, you're not, you really shouldn't say that. But here's another one. People say this all the time in broadcasting. Oh, that's 28 unanswered points for the Vikings. Unanswered is at the end of the game. Until there's an answer, it's 28 straight points.
Yeah.
So it's little
language,
things.
Superstition.
Fix all of this.
Superstition in sports is one of my.
It's side-eye.
It's one of my favorite things about sports.
Hey, man, I'm just protecting your no-hitter, man.
Tony, did you step over the line when you ran out on the field? Or
I dragged my feet on it just to spite everybody.
No way.
No, I jumped over the line.
Yeah, he jumped over the line. I do PA, which is not play-by-play.
It was like habit, though. I don't know if I was like, if I scratch this line, everybody else is doing it.
It's like when you're on the sidewalk and you don't step on the crack.
Everybody else is doing it, so I better do it too.
So I do PA for the Seals. We won a game when I wore a certain outfit, and so I wore it again. We won. I wore it again. We won. I wore it again. We lost. So I had to switch
ran
it up
out of
completely.
ran out of juice. That's
You're like the guy with the underwear.
Without superstition, I think sports would be so much more boring.
How many hits were in your bat, right? Then
right.
Like, well, this bat's out of
hits. You
want
to know something funny about my bats? I switched the bat every at bat, pretty much.
Did you really?
Yes.
Even if you got a knot, you barreled one.
Which in itself is kind of superstitious, right? Because
I'm
switching it up no matter what happens.
That's mind
blowing.
blowing.
My golf clubs every
shot.
This is probably why I despise this whole idea of not calling it a no-hitter when that's what's happening.
Your lack of superstition is a superstition. Now. I'm sorry.
That's really true.
Excuse on that.
I've gotten a disgruntled look.
It takes away the excuse, like, it was the bat.
It was the bat. Yeah.
It was the,
It's. My dad always used to say, it's the person controlling it, not the bat, not the actual bat. So
I've gotten disgruntled looks from the basketball coaches before, because again, basketball, you're right there on the floor broadcasting the game, and if I mention that somebody has made 25 straight free throws.
The announcer,
they're invariably going to miss the next one.
You know what's funny is,
and that's silly, but I've gotten the look like.
Idiots.
Would you say that? Broadcaster's magic spell.
No one ever looks up to the booth when it's the opposite, though.
I know.
Right? When you say such and such has thrown 6 scoreless innings, and then our guy gets a hit. No one's like, hey,
great
nice job up there.
But Tony,
but
I know. But I know.
Yeah.
When I cast the spell and it works, I know.
I think
you have so much more power over this than we. Do we have this kind of power? We do not.
How do you know for sure?
I feel like I've lost control of the debate.
You can't answer that. Hey, this is how important this subject is. We spent more time on this question than
Xander Bogaerts.
any of the baseball questions.
Well, the number of people who watch a Major League Baseball game, which is tens of thousands, someone is always saying it somewhere, and someone's going to say it right before the first hit. And with Michael King, it just happened to be my wife, Shelly, who was kind of not paying attention on the couch, looked up and goes, ooh, a no-hitter, that's cool. And then 3 seconds later, the ball jumps into the outfield. She goes, did I just do that? And
yes, you did,
I don't
Shelley.
believe in
Yes.
superstitions, but yes, of course, that was your fault.
Apologize to the team.
It was your fault, sitting on a couch in San Diego that someone in Milwaukee just got a hit.
Why are you screaming?
Butterfly flaps its wings. Okay, never mind.
Yes, the butterfly flaps its wings, yes.
All right, it's our 97.3 The Fan Padres Roundtable presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. I want to revisit some of the things we thought at the beginning of the season about the NL West, now that we are just 3+ weeks into the season. I think one expectation we all had is that the Dodgers were going to run away with the division. Do we all still have that expectation based on what we've seen the first 3 weeks of the season, where the Dodgers clearly, Chris, have had some weaknesses in their bullpen, in their starting rotation depth, and in the bottom of their lineup so far, and are only a game ahead of the Padres at recording time of our roundtable?
Yes, I'm glad to see them struggling, and I have no issues with that. It's going to be close at least through May or June. I mean, let's see what happens when everybody gets healthy for the Dodgers. Also gets healthy for the Diamondbacks and for the Giants. I mean, there's a lot of really good players that aren't playing right now. Walker Buehler, Kershaw for Arizona. Rodriguez just went on the 60. Robbie Ray for San Francisco. Alex Cobb. There's some really good pitch now. Darvish for the Padres. So, let's see what happens when everybody gets healthy. But I never thought the Dodgers were going to run away and win the thing by 25 or 30 games. I think that's ridiculous thinking. I think these teams are all, pretty good in this division, at least 4 of them. And I think all four of them are going to have a say in, what happens, at least through the All-Star break. And it might separate a little bit in the second half, but, whoever gets healthy is going to have a big advantage.
Danny, are the Dodgers a little more vulnerable than we may have all thought?
I think that we learned last year that just having a team full of superstars doesn't necessarily mean that you're just going to go out and win everything. However, I look at the Dodgers and I say they've obviously got a good working foundation and system of how they do things. And I know people will get mad about that, but they just, they've won. They have continued to win. They've been at the top of this division. They've shown that even without a good starting rotation or good pitching, they still found a way to win 100+ games. They still found a way to get out of certain jams. So until they don't do it, I don't take that away from them. Until they fail, I don't take away their successes.
But Craig, as you know, even the greatest teams fall into disrepair at some point. We certainly don't think the Dodgers are on the precipice of that decline, but look at the Golden State Warriors. The Yankees have gone a long time without a championship. You can put all the money you want into a product. You can make a lot of right decisions. Every franchise is going to have a down season somewhere. The Dodgers have almost been lucky in that they have avoided, at least in the regular season, that slippage that most teams have. I mean, the Cardinals are a well-run organization. Even they in the last year have hit some hard times. Could it be coming for the Dodgers at all?
No, they're going to win the NL West. I mean,
thank you for being honest.
Sure. Yeah. The Dodgers average 4 to 5 runs every single game.
Yep.
And yeah, okay, sure, they got shut out yesterday, right? So but that's baseball. Baseball's stupid. Something stupid happens every single day. I just wanted to make sure, so I looked this up. Walker Buehler, Tony Gonsolin, Clayton Kershaw, Dustin May, Bobby Miller, Emmett Sheehan. Those
all
are
pitchers.
Those are 6 starting pitchers that are on the DL, the injured list, pardon me, for the LA Dodgers right now. They're all coming back. Buehler is in rehab right now.
Yeah.
Kershaw's coming back later. So it's like, well, could you imagine if the Dodgers traded for 4 aces and a number 3 at the deadline? Well, that's kind of the feeling, and it's the same thing that the Giants are counting on, as Chris mentioned, of Robbie Ray comes back, Cobb comes back, and all of a sudden their rotation gets a lot deeper. The Dodgers have the most depth. They've got the most top-end talent. They score the most runs. They're going to win it. It's a long season.
I don't think I've ever induced as many eye rolls from Tony Gwynn Jr. as we have in this.
You have produced one with almost every question.
That's exactly. I feel like I have.
Welcome
today.
to 20 hours a week with Ben Higgins, everybody. You should watch the YouTube feed from me just shutting down.
I've seen it.
Flying out of the room.
I've seen it.
You clearly agreed with Craig, and he makes really good points.
Yeah.
Now, I think if we were Padres fans sitting here and you had 4 pitchers that were coming back from the injured list, we'd all be going, they might not be the same pitchers when they come back. It might take them a while to figure things out.
On this side.
Why don't we do that with the Dodgers? Of course, when the Dodgers pitchers come back, they're all going to be Cy Young caliber all-star guys.
They fixed James Paxton. They fixed everybody. You're like,
what was my man who won the Cy? Was it Anderson? Tyler Anderson. I mean,
they pick guys off the street. They're like,
that is why
I can get 3 WAR out of him.
Right.
And
that is why we all feel that way. It's not because we want to feel that way. It's because
it's happened.
It's happened too many times. Dudes who were regular big leaguers turn into Cy Young Award winners. You got a guy like Chris Taylor was a journeyman. I mean, they have too many stories like that.
Yeah,
for
Muncy, Turner.
Right, we can go on
Fine.
and on.
Who's the genius then? Because they hire a team does well, and you know this, Tony, in professional sports. Then other teams go and hire people away that were doing good things, and you got to find someone else. Someone has to be the genius that keeps it going, though, year after year after year.
It's not obviously. You have to have people who have the eyes who can recognize, okay, this guy has something. Maybe we can. The Dodgers, at least in my experience, they have really good teachers. Like
development.
They develop really, really well, and because of that, guys come in with more of an open mind to try different things, and that's not the case everywhere you go.
And they're allowed to try different things. Like that's the thing. I was reading that book, the one they talk about Justin Turner and how he completely just he was nothing. He was on his way out of baseball. And he
now I don't know if in Justin's case I think that had more to do with him trying. He was open to doing it.
He was open to doing it, but they also said, yeah, like this is what I want to work on, and they said, sure, do it, and turned into Justin Turner.
To your question about the Dodgers, though, I think they should win the division, but we have seen things like this happen where a team like the Pods who start building this kind of role and confidence. And if the Dodgers can't separate themselves early enough, this could be a division that actually ends up being up for grabs. I don't know that the Dodgers are guaranteed to get 100 wins like they have however many the last few years, but that's all going to be dependent on a lot of those guys who have been hurt. What does Walker Buehler come back and look like? What does Kirsch come back and look like? I mean, they got plenty of talent, but, will health ultimately allow them to get to where they're trying to go?
For the record, I don't disagree with either you, Tony, or with Craig. And the Dodgers probably will still go on and win the division. But what about the Diamondbacks? What about the Giants, the teams that you're also competing against for wild card spots? They're also off to slow starts. Chris mentioned some of their injured players, which is true, but they're clearly not as deep or as talented as this Dodgers team would. Does it make a difference to you that neither of those teams seem to be off to good starts this year?
Not much. Again, it's 21 games in, but I did think watching the Dodgers scuffle a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm a generational hater. I think it's a blast. I know it's not going to last. So life is about little moments that make you happy, right? You get a cookie. Oh, I like these cookies. These are delicious. And then it's fleeting, and then it's gone.
Speaking my language,
right?
I love cookies.
And so, something, your kid makes a great catch in the field, like, remember that moment. So I remember, like yesterday, I was like, nice. They also got shut out. And then you move on, and whatever they lack, they're going to go get. That's the other thing is, like, they're so pot committed that if 6 guys fell down the stairs and broke their leg, they'll just go out and replace it. And they got the talent to do it. They got the money to do it. They got the TV contract to do it. They'll do anything. They are so committed to winning a World Series. And they will do whatever it takes to get there.
They've also been fortunate, right? I mean,
Yeah.
You signed a guy like Ohtani, as we've seen here in recent weeks, guys aren't necessarily willing to defer their money. Like, I know the 2 guys that signed the biggest deals this year were willing to do that. I don't know if people understand how big of a help that's going to end up being for the Dodgers as they try to
Continue
go out
to add
and replenish.
Because you can go like Steve Cohen did last year and go, oh, fine, I'll pay $150
right. How many
million.
of those guys
That
were?
can't last
How many
forever.
of those guys were deferring money?
Right.
None of them.
Right.
So it's
huge.
Not only are they extremely good at what they do and evaluate, they also been, they got lucky.
They've gotten lucky a bunch.
Gotten lucky in these terms to be able to keep this run going. Eventually, the luck part's going to run out, and what happens at that point?
Then they're going to go bankrupt, and Ohtani's never going to get his money.
Okay.
I do like
he's
what the
really
Padres,
holding out hope.
Yes,
for that.
I've been hoping for that to happen.
I like what the Padres are doing, though. They're like, okay,
100%.
no one's paying attention to us. That's great.
I love
we
it.
want to be in that position.
Yes.
And so all the attention is on these other teams.
Well, the Diamondbacks in particular, they saw, hey, we made the World Series, and then they invested based on that, similar to how the Padres did from 2022, making the NLCS into 2023. And they're finding, at least early on, Craig, that just investing into your team doesn't necessarily immediately achieve results on the field.
Well, especially when the things you invested in don't pitch for
On the
you.
field,
Eduardo Rodriguez hasn't pitched for them, and Jordan Montgomery hasn't pitched for them. So, they've literally contributed nothing, 0 innings, to the team, and those are the single 2 biggest investments that the team has made. The Diamondbacks are going to be better than they are right now.
100%.
They are a very deep and versatile lineup, and they've got some young guys that are stepping forward.
That's a great point, and I'm glad you said it because, again, you said it, 21 games. They look very similar to this last year at this same point. I remember
worse last year.
They came into this ball yard, and on the last day, I remember them hitting, I think it was Carroll, Thomas, and McCarthy, like 5, 6, 7, and it turned into a track meet. And then they left here, and they just took off from that point on. And so I caution everybody, although the division may not look like we thought it was right now, I think when it's all said and done, those same 4 teams that we're talking about, because we've seen the Giants twice now, and it's a pretty competitive battle between us and them. I expect them to be there as well. As Blake Snell, when he gets comfortable, it's going to, it might take some time. We've seen that. When he gets comfortable, It's not fun to face that.
Yeah, Webb and Snell and Harrison.
That's not going to be fun.
Yeah, that's not fun at all.
Last couple minutes of our 97.3 The Fan Padres Roundtable presented by San Diego Roundtable Pizza. Let's look ahead to the weekend. The Toronto Blue Jays, a team don't see very often, come to town. Chris, a lot of superstars on that team. Like the Padres, they were supposed to be the team on the rise a couple of years ago. Like, ooh, we're going to see the Blue Jays in the World Series probably a couple of times. Hasn't really happened for them, but an interesting series given them the names that are coming in. And I was surprised. I was looking, their pitching's been pretty good as well. They're hovering around 500, I think a game above like the Padres going into the series. Your thoughts on the weekend coming up at Petco Park?
Well, I think it's, big deal that the Blue Jays are coming in. And I'm saying that as a lead into the fact that we talked about it on our show the other day, that I'm not a fan of this whole schedule the way it is.
Points, man.
God, did I steal another one of your points? I'm sorry about that. I mean,
You
the
gotta
Blue
live
Jays are
together,
coming in,
too.
so what? I mean, we have to play all these teams. So, I would rather be playing the Giants or the Diamondbacks this weekend, to be honest with you. It'll be fun to see Bo Bichette, I guess, and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. I can't name another Blue Jay. I mean, off the top of my head as a normal baseball fan, Dalton Varsho, I believe, has had off to a good start.
Former
But
Diamondback.
He's good,
anyway, fun weekend. Let's just win 2 out of 3. That's it.
Annie, Blue Jays coming to town.
I'm going to
Any
let it
thoughts?
get down the road here. I don't have.
Fine.
I agree. I think it'll be fun to see Bo Bichette, to see some of these guys. I think the Padres need to focus on what they need to do and not too much on the team across from them in terms of just looking at this 13-game stretch and how they're going to best get through it.
I think Chris tried to turn this into an indictment on interleague play.
Yes, I did.
Everything. I don't know that we have time for that in the last couple of minutes.
That's why I thought I would do it. Nobody'd be able to argue back against me.
You got any thoughts here coming up?
You're going to see some tough right-handed pitchers here. You're going to see Rodriguez. You're going to see Barrios, who is off to a very good start, and Bassett, who just had a great start his
Also
last
nasty.
time out.
We beat him in Game 3 of the playoff
There
a
you
couple
go.
years ago.
There you
with
go.
the
On the
Mets.
other
The
side,
Mets
they're a
can
very
handle him.
right-handed heavy team. I do watch the Blue Jays, I guess, a little bit more, but they're a very right-handed team, and so that's something I'm keeping my eye on. And also, especially, how does Matt Waldron go here in this first outing on Friday? I think that really sets a tone. If he can get through the 5th, get into the 6th inning, it sets things up better for Saturday's spot start.
That's a great point. Yeah, Blue Jays are coming to town. It's fun to see Vlad Jr., somebody that San Diegans don't get to see a ton of. Outside of that, I'm with Annie. Lock in on what you've been doing as a team. I also don't like, it's not the interleague play. I love interleague play. I don't like the balanced schedule. I playing a team that has nothing to do with your division when we get to the end just seems like it's a waste of everybody's time. I get it. Get the fans, get to see some people that they don't normally see, but it was way better when we had the non-weighted schedule where we could control your destiny a little bit more in the division.
You have to at least be glad that it's you don't have to go to Toronto. Very long international
It definitely,
trip.
after going to Korea already,
He went last year to Toronto, right?
Definitely crossed my mind.
And, all the sons of former players, you have a unique perspective. I don't think any team in the history of professional sports have had more sons of former players than the Toronto Blue Jays.
Yeah, Cavendish, absolutely.
That's got to be a weird thing to follow in those
I
footsteps.
experienced it a little bit in Milwaukee myself and Prince, and then in L.A. it was D. Gord, myself, and De Jesus. So I've been on teams with multiple former players' son. It's a cool.
Can I get Tony
cool
going
thing.
one more time before the end of the show?
You got about 90 seconds.
How about our second 3-game homestand of the year before going right back out on the road?
Right back on the road.
I actually am not complaining about that.
That's not a biggie?
The first real deal one was going from L.A. to Milwaukee. That was really bad. But outside of that, our schedule is, the 3-game trips aren't great, but they've been right on the West
You don't have
Coast,
any of
so-
those really long, 10-gamers
It's
this year, which is good, right?
Keep me away from the 10-gamers as long as possible.
Woods, last words. You wore the polo, so you get to have the last word.
I don't
Is this 2 weeks in a row you wore the polo?
Say something.
I told him
say
I'd do it
something
for every
smart and insightful to carry us for about 30 seconds.
every round table. I told him I would wear the polo. I'm doing it as a bit, not because I'm a good company man. No, I'm excited about it. I like watching. I like the Blue Jays. I love Laddie Jr. Bo Woods, big fan of Bo Bichette. Huge fan of Bo Bichette. And they are. They remind me of us. They do.
That.
They just remind me of us. And it's like we want that. We want them to kind of ascend. Not this weekend, though.
We're out of time. That was a lot of fun today.
That was fun.
Next week, I'm actually on vacation. surprise, surprise, I will hand this chair over to Annie Halbert.
Nice.
Moderator.
Nice. Now we're talking.
Very
No pressure.
You'll do great.
The
You'll do
power
great.
that comes
Hey,
my way.
Adam will send you
Ken.
questions. Don't worry.
Chris, Annie, Craig, Tony, and Woodsy, I'm Ben.
Xander.
Thanks for joining us on our San Diego Roundtable Pizza Padres. Talk to you later.
Tune in Thursdays at 10 a.m. for our weekly Padres Roundtable featuring Ben and Woods, Annie.